Ah, bentar. Hai, habis kencing. Santuy. Dah. Oke, yang pasti kita sekarang ganti baju dulu. Wah, ini menegangkan ini ya. Cuci woi, kagak ini cuman gua pakai pas era kita tanding guys. Lihat tuh masih ada tagnya anjing. Tuh. Jadi bersih selalu, santai aja. Ya gua mau pesan taichan dulu ah. Habis dari sini soalnya kita lanjut lagi buat RRQ bisa menang gak Ken? Menang lah. Jersey yang biru gua gak dikasih. Jersey yang biru gua dikasihnya yang hitam. Bener gak disapa deh. Halo Naunakim. Halo Stefani. Stefani siapa tuh? Cantik juga cok. Belanvi juga. Cantik sekali. Ganti baju bikin kalah aja. Gak bakal. Paket baju dateng Ken. Kok bisa tiba-tiba dateng anjing? Bukannya di statusnya masih di Tangerang cok. Aneh banget. Lupa pesen taichan dulu. Reorder. Sate taichan. Kadang-kadang pesen dari Gojek ini gak masuk akal babi. 96.600 anjing. Coba buka Shopee Food dulu lah. Titit alangkah mahalnya cok. Taichan. Sate taichan palmera. Jauh kali cok palmera nih. Oh, ini Shopee Food kenapa ditawarinnya yang di luar jangkauan semua ya? Gua udah pakai diskon, guys. Sate Taichan 20 tusuk 96.000 ya. Kayak agak gimana gitu. Ya udahlah, nggak apa-apa lah, udahlah. Yang penting ada makannya lah. 6 menit lagi akan segera dimulai ya guys ya. Gua yakin LRQ pasti bisa pada hari ini untuk mengalahkan AP Brand ya guys ya. I'm back, Ken. Halo Enca. How are you? Let's go. Come on. Now or never ya guys ya. Gak ada yang namanya lower bracket di turnamen Rusia ini guys. Menang atau kesempatannya hanya jadi juara 3. Ini by the way BO3 kan ya? Ken, kalau RRQ game 1 kalah lo harus ganti baju sih. Enggak. Gue yakin dengan baju ini harusnya kita bisa menang terus-terusan. Karena dari kemarin RRQ menang. Berarti baju ini bawa hoki, Cok. Jadi walaupun RRQ seandainya kalah di game 1, gue gak akan ganti baju anjing. Imam Fafian Syaha, halo. Terakhir ku tatap mata indahmu, di bawah bintang-bintang. Tergerak hatiku, optimis menang ya guys ya. Pede aja guys ya. Kita yakin dulu aja guys. Suara lu kayak Doraemon, muka kau kayak Nobita anjing. Rusia lah Ken, kemarin lu bilang mau Rusia anjing. Enggak ya, kemarin gue nonton Onic malam-malam yang Inggris gak nge-lag sih. Semoga aja nih gak nge-lag ya. Kalau misalnya nge-lag kita langsung ganti ke Rusia nanti, oke? Two minutes. Menurut Okta gimana mainnya Ken? Udah mantep banget sih Okta mainnya. Udah gokil Okta itu ya guys ya.
10.000 dari RRQ biji berurat. Pesan, Ken yakin RRQ menang gak Ken FIFA RRQ?
Yakin. Harus pede ya guys ya. Harus pede kita guys, pasti bisa menang cok. Ini kalau yang kalah akan memperebutkan juara 3 ya guys ya. Kalau kalah bakal memperebutkan juara 3, tapi gue berharap sih jangan sampai kalah sih ya. Gue sangat gak pengen lihat RRQ kalah lawan AP Brand ini sih guys. Bangsat, kenapa RRQ harus ketemu AP Brand ya di semifinal ya. Kayak tai banget gitu loh, kayak gak ada lawan lain anjing. Teng. Bentar. Game of Future.
To the games of the future. The Mobile Legends Bang Bang tournament features 16 teams of up to 6 competitors. The game is played in a 5
Bentar, gue mau nyari yang
2 wins or 3 wins in the finals.
Gue mau nyari yang Rusia ya.
Replacements can be made between the matches, and in the event of a player injury or other force majeure, a replacement can be made during the game. The tournament consists of 2 stages, group competitions and playoffs, and the matches
ini yang Rusia ya.
best of 3 format. Only 12 teams will advance.
Gua mau persiapin aja ya, jadi ntar kalau misalnya ternyata ini dapat, kita langsung ganti ke yang Rusia, oke?
Stage without defeat go directly to the quarterfinals, and those that lose one match will compete in the last 16. Teams that lose both their group matches are eliminated from the tournament. Good luck and have fun.
Bentar guys. Sabar, mau ambil handphone Shopee gue dulu. Wait ya.
Games of the future.
Lama ya, belum mulai ya. RRQ. Belum mulai sih. Games of the Futures.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Games of the Future 2024. As we step into the virtual arena today, we'll be seeing the top 4 teams in the world fight out in the semifinals for a prize pool of $1 million, the biggest prize pool we have seen so far in Mobile Legends. Buckle up, as today we'll be taking off on a flight very high in the sky through the semifinals. My name is Steph Weezy, all the way out from North America, and I'm honored to be a special guest on today's show to be able to cast these games. Now, introducing a special talent who has been a part of the scene in MLBB since the very beginning. It is rumored he pulls up in a new vehicle every day to the venue. His suits are made out of the finest quality fabric. He never wears the same shirt twice. Rumor also has it that his salary is double that of the Game of Futures prize pool, and his own personal bank is sitting in his backyard. One of the richest casters in the world. And I'm convinced.
Nonton official bahasa Inggris di mana? Cari aja guys. Di channel Game of Future juga. Lucu ya, yang Inggrisnya sama Rusia tuh beda, cok, di setel videonya. Kocak ini anjing. Morning person dipaksa begadang, anjir, ngantuk lah. Tapi emang sih, soalnya kan ini turnamennya ngikutin waktu Rusia ya guys ya. Jadi gak bisa ngomong juga, cok. Namanya juga turnamen Rusia ini.
Преобразовал частицу гармонии во флейм, древний артефакт для сбора энергии. Хранителями было выбрано место для проведения турнира. Город с самым сильным соприкосновением энергии. Именно здесь миллионы зрителей и сильнейшие атлеты примут участие в величайших играх всех времен, чтобы определить достойнейших и восстановить баланс миров. Да начнутся игры.
And here we are. Like we stated, one of the richest casters in the world.
Kerenan yang bule kemarin, casta yang bule pas Onic.
M1 all the way to M5. Introducing the richest caster in the world.
35.000
Anjay,
dari
komen album dong.
Samuan. Pesan 638.453.539 komen album Ken.
I do wish that I am what you say I am, you know.
Bentar ya, brother ya. Komen album.
If money was a thing.
Bisa-bisanya lagi kayak begini komen album, cok.
I'm actually stuttering. I'm out of words. You know, this is the first time I probably stuttered in an introduction. So thank you so much, Steph, for that. And yeah, I would hope that as much hype.
453.
I hope that the games can bring as much hype as you did. Because like I said, I'm lost for words, dude. You stunned me.
I had to, man. I got to give credit where it's due. Definitely a vet in the game. And shout out to Wolf joining us today on our amazing venture through the semifinals. That's right. Today is the semifinals, guys. One step closer to figuring out who's the best in the world and who will be taking home majority of that $1 million prize pool and stepping into the grand finals. Now, let's do a little bit of a recap of what we've seen, right, throughout the entire tournament. We had 4 groups fighting it out for a couple of days. And then we moved on to the playoffs, which was one team getting knocked out from each group. And we had currently a couple of days of playoffs, right? We had round 1 and the quarterfinals, which were all amazing matches. And yesterday was the quarterfinals. A couple of teams did get knocked off the board. We got to see RQ Hoshi take down the Burmese Ghouls, AP Brin take out Homeboys.
The AP Brin taking the Homeboys.
Taken down by Fireflux Esports. Who would have thought Turkey stepping up into the scene and taking down a Filipino team? And then Onic, 2-1 up against RCC. They did lose a match. It was looking a little shaky toward that late game, but they were able to make up for it in game 3. And here we are, now at the semifinals with some great matches ahead of us.
Well, here we are at the semifinals.
Watching the quarterfinals last night.
Lebih cepat waktu Indo apa Rusia, Ken? Lebih cepat waktu Indo, guys. Jadi kalau di Rusia ini mereka baru jam 7 ya, guys ya.
Quarterfinals 1 and 2 were you kind of expected that will happen, right? You know,
kita di Indonesia di jam 11, mereka baru jam 7, guys. Waktunya pas kalau buat mereka ya, guys ya.
Oh my. I can't believe that I'll be that surprised late in the night. This happened what? I think 2 a.m. in the Philippines, so we're all very, sleepy already. We're all drowsy. But then again, Fireflux
Anjir,
Esports
iya juga ya. Di Filipina udah jam 2 pagi, Cok.
Of not being able to defeat Blacklist International franchise versus franchise. They 2-0 Blacklist International.
Kalau penonton di Filipina sih udah ngantuk semua itu anjing nontonnya.
That's like mind blown. And then RCC takes away a game from Onic. Onic had to work for that series. Even the games that Onic won, they had to work hard for it. So all of the drowsiness, all of the sleepiness, it went away even when it's like 2 a.m. in the morning for Filipinos, or for Southeast Asians, just because of the act that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, it was definitely jam-packed and full of surprises.
Di Bali di Bali kalian juga udah jam 12 ya. Dan di Indonesia Timur udah jam 1 pagi juga sih, Cok.
And to be able to take them down, I mean, they placed third inside of M5, taking down a team which is kind of reminds me of Fireflux currently, which would be Deuce Volts, right? They had a high rise side of M5. They made it all the way to 4th place and then got taken down by Blacklist. But to see another region, Turkey, stepping up to the game and showing the world they're ready to take it to the next level. And they're going to have that shot here, right? I mean, you know what's so funny about today's matches? Semifinals game match 1 or series 1, we have RQ
dari
Hoshi versus
someone.
AP Brent.
Pesan,
We're going to be seeing
Ken bilangin
Indonesia
sama Ucak
going
jangan
up against the
mulu.
Philippines.
Ya, gua tahu itu kata-katanya. Ucak, kamu jangan coli mulu ya, Ucak ya. Jangan goblok, oke?
And we still are sitting with 2 Indonesian teams. We got Onic and RQ Hoshi. But then also, like you said, since Blacklist did get taken out.
Aduh, sudah lewat 6 menit nih.
10.000 dari someone. Pesan, nonton Onic juga gak
Nonton. Nanti kita nonton Onic juga ya.
New rosters.
Begadang kita, begadang. Ya tapi tiap hari juga begadang sih.
No,
baju RRQ yang biru udah dapat belum, Ken? Belum, gua gak dikasih. Gua dikasih yang hitam. Ya udahlah, masa dikasih hitam gua minta lagi yang biru anjing.
About what my expectations were of RRQ when they did announce the roster, it was incredibly high. And now they are actually proven that those expectations are well met.
Semifinals.
With all of the success that RQ was able to get in the past few days for Games of the Future, you still have some doubts of their strength as a team, right? So I'll be completely honest. I'm not yet that convinced of what they have shown just because
wih, rame juga ya nonton turnamennya di Rusia, guys.
Lost both of their games, but then they came back.
Udah mulai banyak kayak peminat Mobile Legends di luar negeri ya.
So when now we're talking about top 4, where they're up against teams that have great chemistry already, now that's when you start to ask questions. I still rate them very highly, right? So I think that with the coach that they have, and the 2 players, and then the rest of the Indonesians
mulai hafal gue beat lagunya Game of Future.
My expectations and my rating for them is still very high, but they're not. They probably gonna struggle in the top 4.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a challenge. You're now looking at Banana. Speaking about RQ Hoshi, just dominating with that Benedetta, rotating all around the map. Octa being such a strong force so far. Brusco stepping into the scene. You've seen all the amazing setups. Skylar, the crazy Layla play that we got to cast. Who would have thought we would have seen Layla in an international tournament? And Irad dancing around the jungle, pulling out the Lancelot, getting the steals, getting the kills. And overall, some flawless execution as RQ Hoshi, straight out of Indonesia, looking stronger than ever.
So many good standout plays from Octa, which is interesting. But now, of course, we have the mainstay from the team, like Banana. There's so many criticism that he was able to get when he started playing for RRQ back in MPL Season 10. Then after 3 seasons, still, people are not convinced on what Banana can bring to the table. But so far, in Games of the Future,
okay, udah mulai masuk ke dalam stage.
Games and important heroes that he's playing, like the Benedetta.
Semangat ya teman-teman kita semua yang ada di Rusia. Wah, ini nih Flappy Bird yang paling tai nih ya guys ya.
Definitely a fan favorite.
Aduh, raja terakhir nih bangsat.
There he is, looking stronger than ever. Heavy competitor in
M5 Championship.
These guys performed today. AP Bryn, like we said, the current champions from M5. Kyle Teasy himself throwing up that fist, ready to take the fight into the land of Dawn. As you are seeing them rev up. Just got to be excited to see this matchup, right? I mean, this should be technically the hardest contender inside a Game of the Futures 2024. They are
wah,
the
ngeri nih anjing.
Of course, the tournament favorites. And then when you see them kind of slack off in the group stages. I mean, I will not mince my words here, but that's what we felt as Filipinos when they were watching AP Brand.
Bangke, gua tuh gak pernah gak kesel ngeliat muka si Flappy Bird itu, Cok. Anjing.
For the team.
Benci banget gua, Cok.
Destroyed the competition 2-0. Now I gotta say, like watching the previous series when they went up to
ya Tuhan, semoga RRQ bisa menang di semifinal ini. Semoga gak kalah lawan AP Brand. 2 kali kemenangan ya Tuhan. Amin, 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 amin.
Everything that AP Brand was doing was
2 kali kemenangan ya guys ya.
So what I'm trying to say here is when you're looking at AP Brand, it looked
2 kali kemenangan aja ya Tuhan.
The group stages, but now during it's technically playoffs mode or the top 4 or the semi or the quarterfinals mode, they're different beast. They really turned up, and everything that they did was perfect back then.
Yeah, definitely flawless execution so far. I mean, it's no secret, you know, when you're sitting at that world champion. I mean, honestly, they're in a position where they have really everything to lose. Everybody wants to take down the biggest team in the world holding that championship title from the M Series. But so far, just a little bit of history from Game of Futures, what we've seen so far, they're currently undefeated. They're able to take down Homeboys opening day inside of Group B. They beat
4.
S2G,
Dari
sent them
Linglung,
home inside
pesan,
the winners match,
Ken Lu
and
emang
moved on
susah sapa
past
org
stage
Malaysia
into
Kak
stage
Ken.
two
Siapa
of the
yang
playoffs,
susah,
and defeated
Linglung?
Homeboys
Kenapa lu
again,
nanya kayak
and
gitu,
sent them
Cok?
all back into the airport. And then
Mana
now today,
ada
we
susah.
already seen them go up against another top region, MLBB, which is going to be Indonesia or the Philippines. Or yeah, no, Indonesia. Yeah, we're right.
That's right. That should be a treat. I mean, this is something that the Filipinos would love to see. When the Filipinos
10.000 dari Dapek, pesan, Bang ingatin teman gua Bang Novan dia PDKT sama cewek tapi niatnya mau embat ibunya Bang.
Novan, jangan begitu ya goblok. Masa ibunya kok embat anjing?
Especially because they're in the top 4 and this is a single elimination bracket.
10.000 dari Samwan, pesan, Bang temenku ada yang suka bicara sama lukisan gimana tuh Bang?
No comment, brother.
That's how you know that.
Jangan kayak anjing ya pertanyaannya ya.
The championship, the world championship should be defended. This is how you should defend it, you know? So
Kok gue tegang banget gak tau guys. Gue tegang banget sih gue ini.
What might
kayak biji gue lagi gemeter gitu loh kampret.
And surely all of the Filipinos are very much excited now.
Yeah,
Tret,
Philippines, right?
Tret.
Only one sitting from the Philippines region to be able to hold that banner inside a Game of Futures 2024. But they're looking very promising as we are going to be progressing through these matches, and I definitely expect some flawless execution. But I think this may be one of the spiciest series that we've seen so far in Game of Futures 2024.
Yeah, for sure. And it's spicy enough to kind of it's spicy enough to bring up some of the important emotions from the fans, right? So I'm gonna bring something up here, Steph. One of my friends, one of my dear friends, Manjin, and I'm sure you know him, right? And when you're watching back in M4, when there's RRQ, when there's Echo, when there's Blacklist, there are Filipino teams. He's the guy that said that, yeah, you know, Onic has been carried by a Filipino. He's that kind of guy, right? So now, he is actually like raising up the spirits of the Filipinos, and I think that he wants to prove that the Filipino teams are really top tier. That it's still Filipino era. So do watch his stream. Well, not right now because you have to watch. Please watch us. Don't go to his stream. But if maybe if you're a Filipino, you want the history stream. Do watch him right now. He's support the Philippines. But now he's up for the challenge. So no matter if there's someone,
10.000 dari Gus Zain, pesan, salam dari kota Jatirogo, Kap Tuban, Bang Beken.
Kota Jatirogo, Kabupaten Tuban, halo. Thank you, Gus Zain.
This is how much passion there is for the Filipino fans right now. Remember, this is 12 a.m. in the Philippines, right? So people are doing extra stuff. They're exerting more effort just to support the Philippines, and that's how passionate they are. So, yeah, big shout out to my friend Manjin Falda, actually, and the Filipino fans.
10.000 dari Farhan Khan, pesan, Ken bilang selebeu dulu.
Yeah, and that Filipino pride definitely burning.
Apa yang tegang Ken, titit lah. Slebeu.
Like you said, midnight over there. I mean, I'm in North America.
Apalagi yang tegang, titit lah, cocok.
It's daylight right now, as you can tell.
Okay.
My energy is going to be doubled inside of this stream because I'm not super tired at 5 in the morning casting. So, fair warning if we break your eardrums as we jump into these games. I mean, you saw the amazing introduction from Wolf's introduction. Now, talking about AP Bren, right? Let's kind of dive a little bit more into that. So far, we've been seeing a couple of key players rise to the occasion. Flux having such a great impact on kind of harassing members, creating the separation from mobility and taking the neutral objectives. We've seen Super Marco pulling out the Navaria. He was able to take down Twisted Minds twice and also used it against the Homeboys and shut them down. Both of them.
Ken, lo ngerti gak di ngomong apa? Ngerti lah. Coba ya gak sejago itu Inggris gue ya, cuman mengerti gue.
10.000 dari Someone, pesan dari senandungin lagu anime apa BG Ken judulnya?
Senandungan tuh, senandungin lagu.
That sounds very cliche,
Apa tuh senandungin?
Right? But if you really dive into the games of AP Bren, there's no hero, there's no game that was won by AP Bren because there's someone who pretends to be a hero. And I'm not saying
Kenapa gak yang bahasa Rusia aja? Lebih cepatnya bahasa Inggris guys daripada bahasa Rusia.
Whenever they try to do that, they usually lose the games. And if you look at the M5 individual solo flashy plays and rely on that kind of strategy, doesn't work. But if they activate as a team where everybody's just, you know, making sure that everybody else is working because they are activating vice minerals, like the gold laner being
10.000
activated
dari Someone, pesan Ken bilangin ke temen gua Aat jangan maling gas mulu.
Ya Aat, jangan maling gas mulu ya Aat ya.
Of AP Bren, I think that's very visible in their series against Homeboys. You saw how perfectly AP Bren played against Homeboys because they played as a teteam. And that is how you
Oke, sudah dimulai guys. Akhirnya guys, anjing tegang kali gua tai.
20.000 dari Someone, pesan Bang ucapin selamat ulang tahun buat teman gua namanya Aidil, doain semoga bijinya bersinar.
Aidil, selamat ulang tahun. Semoga tahun ini akan semakin bersinar dengan terang.
Dari Arul,
dan biji kau pun juga ikut bersinar dengan terang bagaikan matahari di pagi hari ya. Happy birthday Aidil. Nanti gua bakal bikin promo top up vouchernya ya. Sabar, tenang aja. Apalagi nanti di bulan puasa dan lebaran bakal banyak promo, oke?
10.000 dari Muehehehe, pesan Bang kecilkan suara lu kalah suara game ama Lupea.
Gak bisa, suara gue memang gede bangke, mau gimana cok?
Kind of casting Group A and watching their entire journey so far, and one in the side lanes. You'd see Banana rotating around, seeing the Benedetta, able to cut
guys, ingetin gua buat record nanti ya.
And create the separation for the Lord fights. But then also at the same point, you got to see Skylar even with things don't look in favor, he pulls out a Layla last minute.
4 dari Linglung, pesan Ken kenapa GW Seeing di reject mulut sama cewek, adakah karena GW miss?
Wah, gak tahu brother ya. Gak usah pusingin itu brother. Fokus untuk meningkatkan value lu tuh sebagai seorang lelaki. Ntar cewek juga datang sendiri ya. Tingkatkan value lu mungkin bisa dari badan lu, dari pekerjaan lu, supaya nanti cewek itu datang sendiri.
Dari Zardin, pesan Bang tolong ingetin ke temen gua namanya Sandi burungnya jangan dicekek terus.
Ya Sandi, burungnya jangan dicekek terus ya. Nanti kau impoten goblok. Oke guys, kita lihat dari Benny-nya.
Where their draft was really tailored to make it work for
record Ken nanti pas mulai baru kita record ya guys ya.
20.000 dari Someone, pesan Bang Ken bilangin juga sama si David jangan suka nyepo.
Kenapa namanya David tapi suka nyepong bangke.
And now they can refocus their efforts into making sure that the mid lane trio moves quickly. So now AP Bren, I think that they might go for Arlet this time.
Cici menjadi hero pertama yang dipick RRQ guys. Apakah Cici seworth itu ya?
Dari Alzatra, pesan beli diamond di store lu bisa bayar pakai dana gaken.
Bisa, tapi untuk fee-nya lebih kecil pakai kiri sih guys daripada kalian pakai dana.
Hero of choice for games of the future.
You know, and speaking of things that are interesting, some smart drafting from RQ Hoshi, right? I mean, we got to see AP Brin. They were favoring the CC in majority of their games so far in Game of Futures. So they went ahead and took it away from them inside of this first
dari
pickup.
Babahuye,
And then to
pesan
top it off, you
hidup
kinda look at their band
persib-persib
so
nu
far. They banned
aing-aing
out the
nusaha.
BAYA, one of the hottest picks so
20.000
far
dari
over there
Anas,
for AP
pesan
Brin.
Ken
And
bilangin
taking that
temen
off the
gewe
board is gonna
Fahru
kinda
5 tahun move
some of the
on
heroes
gak
that
jadi
we've seen them
gara-gara
shine on
doi
so
ngepost
far in
foto
Game of
di
Futures 2024.
Instagram.
But there's still another pick out there.
Post foto
That was
di
the fairness being
Instagram.
slotted up, so they will have that sustainability that they're looking for, and then some good frontline composition as well, as they are going to lock in the box yet.
Yeah, very interesting choice here for AP Brin going in straight
10.000 dari Farhan Khan, pesan Ken suruh cepet mulai gue mau nidurin anak gua.
What works, right? So we're not yet over the phase of the utility junglers. We're not over the Fredrin Baksha.
Ini aja mereka grafiknya lama banget, cok.
As long as
10.000 dari Leander Eka, pesan musuh berat Bang Yok bisa sampai final FIFA RRQ. Salam dari Jatim Blitar.
Halo Jatim Blitar, FIFA RRQ
dari
semoga menang
Leander
ya.
Eka, pesan musuh berat Bang Yok bisa sampai final FIFA RRQ. Salam dari Jatim Blitar.
Pokoknya semoga RRQ bisa menang lah.
Faramis or the extra HP from the ultimate, but Lilia is a great answer, and this is really such a Vren pattern. Like think of the Lilia matchup against a Faramis.
10.000 dari Wild, pesan Bang Ganobar RRQ.
Goblok lalu ay.
CC definitely being on the table is going to create some problems. Now, looking at AP Brin.
By the way, selama match berjalan, buat voice-nya gue jadi 50.000 dulu ya.
10.000 dari Deo, pesan Bang Instor give skin lens Dawing Star dong.
Ada. Gue masih ada 2 slot Deo, 1,3 juta ya.
And we'll need to have some answers. But
Untuk
answers,
give Lancelot
some more CC and sustainability into the mix. AP Brin
10.000 dari Samwan, pesan Ud cintai mati tapi kalau Ud dicuekin masih bisa balikan.
Tapi kalau dicuekin masih bisa. Kalau dicuekin mah susah ya. Kita lihat anjing lah kenapa RRQ ngambil Dirot ya. Aduh, gua gak suka banget tai sama Dirot guys. Kayak macam gak ada hero lain aja anjing. Bah, teman gue Zidane, kalau titiknya bengkok bisa lurus gak bang? Gak bisa sih, karena bengkok itu bisa dibilang sebagai cacat lahir. Tapi bengkok itu akan membuat wanita itu merasa nikmat kok, jadi gak perlu dilurusin. Itu ilmu, gue baca di Google, oke?
Or somewhere along the lines of a Nathan actually, which I'm not entirely sure if RQ Hoshi have.
Gua tuh gak suka banget sama Dirot ya guys ya.
But it is a hero that you can actually put here.
Bagian tolong ucapin gua hari ini ulang tahun. Happy birthday Fari, sukses selalu dan selalu diberkati oleh Tuhan ya.
Would assume that this could be a front to back kind of composition coming up from AP Brin.
Yeah, definitely could be a strong answer. I mean, the only other marksman that we haven't seen,
Absent
that we haven't seen, I would say really mage, but ran in the gold lane position. We did see them pull out the Hareth.
Bah, nanti lo juga puasa gak? Puasa nanti hari pertama ya.
Option to be able to pick up here. So I wonder if they're going to kind of ban that out. We are seeing the Minotaur though taken off the table. I mean, I think that's a good answer, especially with the Diggy not being banned out. It could be some great CC that could give AP Brin a problem. I mean, considering
Muhammad Rizal, happy birthday. Live Onic juga gak care, live.
From that nether realm. But speaking about
Bah, bilangin ke teman gue si Eddie, jangan nonton YouTube biru terus. Eddie, kamu jangan nonton YouTube biru terus ya Eddie ya.
That are usually kind of picked up is that Claude,
biru
is that
tuh,
Brody, which just got banned out. A possible Clint on the way for AP Brin.
Biru gue tahu YouTube biru apa tuh.
All of these have definitely been some problems. And I wouldn't just say for just these two teams, but overall, just one of the most highly picked marksmen.
RRQ bakal ngambil marksman apa nih guys? Dari segi hero sih, hero tabraknya AP Brin sih banyak banget ya. Kayaknya nggak mungkin ambil Layla sih. Bikin cium dong buat Yaspia. Buset siapa cok? Bah, bilangin ke teman gua Cahyo Purno jangan suka buka celana depan cewek. Cahyo Purno, kamu jangan goblok ya. Buka celana depan cewek itu buat apa anjing?
is okay if there's like poke from the other side. But instead they go Pakito. That confirms the Ruby from that's going to be the role here. RRQ Hoshi needs a
bajunya Ana mana Ken? Gak tahu, Ana kan jauh coy di Malaysia. Lu aja ke Surabaya nyampenya berhari-hari, apalagi ke Malaysia cok.
I'll throw one more at you. Maybe even throw in the Bruno. May actually slide in here.
Terima kasih 20.000 ya Junior. Biar bilangin ke hamba lau jangan suka nikung cewek orang. Hamba lau jangan suka nikung cewek orang ya. Tapi kalau memang kesempatannya ada, ya gua nggak bisa komen sih.
Oh my goodness, Skylar again.
Wah bangsat beneran Layla babi ya. Ya beneran aja woy. Astaga lawan AP Brand pakai Layla anjing. Jalur langit gak ada obat Ken. Semoga RRQ menang. Amin amin amin. Semoga RRQ menang ya. Wah gila cok beneran Layla cok lawan AP Brand cok anjing ini sih. Ini sih gak bener ini cok. RRQ semoga juara amin amin. Bandos Mawar gak bakal hilang kok. Anak tenang aja. Palembang nih bos, gampang kamu galau-galau. Wah, gila cok RRQ cok ini sih. Anjing gue speechless cok anjing. Lawan AP Brand beneran pakai Layla cok. Itu ditambah lagi ada Pakwito loh guys. Gila ini hero tabraknya banyak banget. Gila ini semua guys. Harapan menangnya ada di bagaimana cara si Brusco itu benar-benar bisa mengcover Laylanya si Skylar ya guys ya. Wah itu apa? Wah clean cok. Bahaya nih. Range-nya clean itu agak susah digapai sama Layla loh guys. Nanti ya Alzra ya secepatnya ya. Nonton Avengers gak? Enggak Nas. Oke kita record dulu ya. Alright guys, welcome back with me Brandon. Sekarang kita akan masuk ke dalam match pertama pada semifinal pada hari ini, yang dimana RRQ bertemu dengan raja terakhir yaitu AP Brand ya guys ya. Kalau kita ingat dulu di M5 pun Onic pun kalah di final. Semoga RRQ bisa membalaskan dendam dari Onic di M5 waktu itu ya guys ya. Gak bakal Spaniel. Dan yang gua agak bingung ya, RRQ berani banget untuk pick Layla melawan AP Brand cok. Waduh gila anjing. I love you so much more age. Aduh guys, tegang banget gua tai. Gimana jadinya ini anjing.
Is this how Brand defeats his former team?
Aduh,
right?
Iratnya pakai hyper dirot lagi anjing. Gua nggak suka banget cowok hyper dirot itu guys.
We'll be able to find out. For now, I'm looking at the.
Gak dapet apa itu?
In all of the lanes. First off, Clit versus Layla.
Makasih ya Babe udah top up 1,5 juta ya. Itu belum mandi kali, makanya jadi bau. Oke, kita lihat masih clear minion terlebih dahulu ya guys ya. Doain istri gue biar cepet hamil, amin. Semoga cepet hamil ya, gantengnya kamu ya. Tenang aja, punya anak tuh adalah anugerah dari Tuhan dan pemberian Tuhan. Kalau memang sudah waktunya pasti dapat anak.
But I gotta say, it's probably is CC favored in a way that it's easier for the CC to duel against the Paquito. It's not a win per se, but it's a much easier for Terdamo.
Nanti ada giveaway lah. Kalau misalnya RRQ bisa juara, ntar giveaway-nya di beaconstore.id ya, di Instagramnya ya. Giveaway duit, tenang aja. Kalau misalnya RRQ sampai juara memang harus dirayakan sih itu.
Easy to kill if you can dive, and that should be a focus for AP Brand if they do want to shut down Skylar, because I mean we all seen how this played out.
Oke, farming Skylar, farming dulu, fokus. Aduh, ultinya Irat gak keluar ya. Andri. Jangan nyari jabla ya Andri ya. Guys, by the way, jangan lupa selalu top up di beaconstore.id, toko terbaik, tercepat, termurah. Dan jangan lupa baju gue masih gue promo lagi ngabisin stok. Aduh, Okta jangan mati ya guys ya. Aduh, oke, Okta nggak mati. Fokus buat dapetin turtle. Fokus buat dapetin turtle. Aduh, Ruby-nya ganggu banget anjing. Ulti Faramis, oke santai. Ulti Faramis sudah keluar. Let's go. Aduh kan. Lagian ngapain sih ambil hyper di road gentot. Aduh, kesel banget gue kayak nggak ada hero lain aja anjing. Jangan lupa BAJU gue lagi promo, masih cuci gudang di Shopee-nya Use Your Brain. Linknya ada di description ya guys ya. Hati-hati Brusko, Layla itu pasti gak bisa ngasih damage dulu cok awal-awal. Awas Skylar. Aduh ngeri banget. Aduh anjing ketarik. Aduh peler lah. Mampus lah cocok. Gila itu Ruby guys, dia pakai range maksimalnya ultinya itu cok. Kayak gue tetangga sama Ana di Kuala Lumpur sini main. Wih kok bisa tahu-tahu lu tetangga sama Ana cok. Nanti ya kapan-kapan kalau gue ke Malaysia ya. Lagi ngumpulin miles dulu nih supaya bisa naik bisnis kelas gratis.
A lot of chain CC from that Ruby and also sustainability to stay alive when that Layla's trying to burst him down. With Super Marco taking up that kill, we'll put him at a slight advantage. You know, he's trying to kind of scale a little bit better than the Layla. We mentioned if they can take down Skylar in the early phase, this is where you see the glass cannon of Layla kind of break down.
Yeah. You see the Ruby as
Dan tapi sumpah sini, jujur aja dia terlalu berani cok untuk pakai Layla dalam melawan sekelas AP Brand ini di luar nalar guys menurut gua guys. Gila tai cok. Waduh gila ini RRQ lumayan terkena kandangin ya guys ya. Semoga, tapi gue berharap sih Irat sama Brusko sih paham banget sih guys cara permainan AP Brand ya guys ya. Gue berharap sih combo bakso urat ini ngerti banget sih untuk gameplay mereka guys.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of protecting teammates,
kasih tau Hilman Jaki jangan suka susah kalau dibilangin. Ya, Hilman Jaki kamu kalau dibilangin Angel jangan susah dibilangin ya anjing.
They were able to still sustain themselves until Skylar had all of those items necessary, and then he was able to get the game winner to close out the game.
Yo, bisa yo. Beda networknya baru 2000 kok. Ya, semangat ya, semangat. Masih bisa. Wah, Banana pun kalah level tai lawan si Flappy Bird ini guys. Ayo Banana jangan kalah mental ya Banana ya. Pasti bisa ya. Main sabar aja sampai Lailanya jadi guys. Main sabar sampai Lailanya jadi ya guys ya. Pasti bisa cok. Oke kita lihat di sini anjing Bruskonya bikin montek ya guys ya. Come on. Aduh gila cok ulti Faramis pula. Aduh Irat. Lagi ulti Faramis itu ngapain di ulti anjing. Aduh Banana mati kayak ini. Jangan sampai mati. Oke tahan.
That's actually what Brusko needs to be doing. Imagine if
aduh turtle didapetin sama brand lagi. Oke.
Irad wanted to go for the
Gak apa-apa. Yang penting semoga Skylar bisa farming terus dah anjing.
This is the power spike.
Weh jangan gila back.
When you have the backshot that at the first.
Weh bisa mati tuh anjing. Mati dong.
Things that are great, massive damage. Destruction rush able to connect onto Ogwen from Skylar. Hati-hati cok, Irat. Aduh. Wah ini nih, gue gak suka dari Dirot Hyper di ala tipisnya cok. Aduh malah mati nih pasti cok. Aduh mati kan ya. Aduh apa sih pilih Dirot Hyper anjing kayak gak ada hero lain cok. Kenapa sih? Kenapa sih friend harus pick Dirot Hyper anjing.
But Ogwen, even with just a quarter HP or even less, he went for the heads-up play to stun Irad so that Super Marco will be able to attack for a bit, maybe lifesteal a bit, get out into safety, and then Kyle TZ jumped into the fray.
Dirot itu cuma enak ya kalau misalnya musuh tuh benar-benar lawannya tuh tank semua. Gak ada CC, nah baru enak ya guys main Dirot itu guys. Karena tuh Dirot tolol cok, Dirot itu guys gak suka banget gue anjing. Skylar duit 3.700, duit dari Super Marco-nya 4.800. Aduh jauh banget anjing. Beda 1.000 cok, kampret. Beda 1.000 ya guys ya anjing.
That is something that really is.
Tapi nggak apa-apa tahan ya guys ya. Ini lay-lay guys ya. Asuransi late game guys, tenang aja guys. Hati-hati Banana, sudah mulai swap lane ya guys ya.
Some discomfort in the gold lane and the XP lane, taking down Skylar, taking Banana. They found a kill on Skylar and they were also able to.
Wah gila, nice banget Skylar ya, astaga anjing. Lah, ya ampun tadi Ruby-nya itu, Ruby-nya tadi bukan pakai ulti ya. Anjing si Skylar digocek tadi guys. Anjing gue pikir Skylar tuh tadi ngegocek ultinya Ruby loh. Aduh kenapa mata-mata lagi sih.
250.000 dari El Kantor Bola.
And they're gonna be going for the turtle. I think this is AP Brand's. Oh, Irat. Okay, never mind.
Oh, Irat dapat turtle, nice banget ya. Retri Irat sih gak usah diragukan anjing. Ente kayaknya nggak bakal ente guys, tenang aja guys.
Turtle on the bot side though, you did see Flapteezy take that tier 2 turret, so they have map control for the side AP Brand and also a great gold.
Kita lihat di sini Skylar sudah mati 2 kali ya guys ya.
That's a better trade for them. Which is how far ahead they are for RQ Hoshi.
Perbedaan network sekarang sudah 5.000
in their favor, right? Maybe opening up the map.
Aduh, enggak guys, jangan bilang ente dulu guys, belum ente ya guys ya. Belum ente guys. Belum ente guys, santai aja guys. Ingat guys, kita punya Layla untuk late game ya guys ya. Layla itu semakin besar, TT-nya juga semakin besar, semakin gaceng ya guys ya. Santai aja guys. Selama Skylar bisa farming terus guys, dan sampai akhirnya Skylar jadi, kita pasti menang coy, yakin gue anjing. Ini ada lower bracket gak ada guys. Jadi kalau misal seandainya di antara kedua ini ada yang kalah bakal memperebutkan untuk juara 3 dan melawan yang kalah waktu di match Onic nanti ya guys ya. AP Brand diajak late game, gak apa-apa anjing. Gue yakin cok, Layla late game itu soalnya bukan sesuatu hal yang bisa diremehkan guys. Gue yakin banget cok. Waduh mati tuh. Waduh, wah anjing langsung hilang hentit anjing cocok. Harusnya ya kalau menurut gua ya, di saat musuhnya tipikalnya kayak badak-badak kayak gini, ada Faramis, mendingan tuh ambil hyper yang badak-badak guys, ketimbang ambil hyper Diro cok. Susah ini cok jadinya buat nge-setup apapun ya guys ya. Karena sekali aja Brusco gagal gerak ya guys, gagal membuat montek ya guys, semuanya tuh jadi hancur dan berantakan gitu cok. Diro itu selembek tenen gitu loh guys, terlalu empuk cok.
But AP Brand, like you said, going straight for the head, cutting the head off the serpent. What they're looking to do, trying to
kita lihat nih ya. Kita lihat nih. Brusco udah gagal montek cok, langsung berantakan semuanya anjing. Ya ampun, Irat langsung hilang lagi anjing. Sumpah lah tai. Ya ampun, Brusco juga gak kena tai monteknya di sini guys. Aduh ya ampun, suram kali, RRQ belum dapet kill sama sekali anjing.
It can now be proven that AP Brand is
tempo controller. Baru dapat montek sekali guys. Aduh, Skylar langsung.
On the Skylar, Flapteezy did it. The dynamic duo in effect. Brusco very low, makes his way into the tier 2 turret, which may open up the opportunity for Ogwin to try and push in. But you are seeing
kenapa hero-nya musuh tabrak gini semua pick Layla anjing.
Invasion. Man, overall, such a great game for AP Brand. RQ Hoshi. What do they do to turn this around?
Aduh, cocok.
They have to regain the tempo at the very
sedih gue liatnya anjing lah.
The only other option here is to just survive this.
Sumpah coy, ini Skylar ya, ditabrak siapapun mati dia guys.
Maybe try to win.
Ditabrak Faramis bisa mati, ditabrak Ruby pasti mati, ditabrak sama siapapun pasti mati, itu mati. Apalagi sekarang Skylar kagak ada flicker anjing, mau gimana cok?
And now you're looking at RRQ Hoshi stripped down to their inhibitors.
Yeah. Gonna be difficult now for RQ.
Kintil nih apa sih tai?
I gotta say there was this.
Kenapa tiap match RRQ ada aja sih patah-patahnya anjing?
Super Marco.
Bentar, gue mau lihat yang Rusia dulu guys, menitnya sama nggak ya? 11:27. Atau kan yang Rusia ketinggalan banget ya, kenapa ya?
He's already positioned in that bush near the mid lane. So that left side of the turret.
Kayaknya gara-gara yang Inggris ini lebih jauh lebih cepat guys, makanya agak patah-patah dikit ya guys ya.
Tyrant's revenge, and we know that Octa is there for damage. AP Bren was prepared. This tells us that
kita lihat di sini duit Layla 6.700, duit cleannya 9.400.
At the very least, they're making a macro play for it. In that specific case, like look at the bush that Kautis is holding. If somebody shows himself in the mid lane, it's an ambush, right?
Draft agak lain. Iya lumayan agak lain sih ini.
Alone. They will not make the play that looks like they're isolated. This is championship.
Lumayan agak lain sih ini draftnya, Cok.
They have plans.
Tapi benar kan kata gue ya guys ya, D-Rotnya gak guna guys. Bisa buat apa Cok D-Rotnya guys? Gak bisa buat apa-apa anjing. Bingung banget gue Cok sama keputusan buat nge-pick D-Rot itu loh.
Even with this massive boost in the economy and the objectives overall on the map, but AP Bren letting them know, hey, we are the champions.
Gila, di brand terlalu rapi sih ya. Ampun, bisa-bisanya kena tabrak di situ ya.
100.000 dari warga Namek. Pesan, gua pikir Dark System Cemen ada di rank, ternyata turnamen dunia JG ada.
Iya, tapi gak Dark System juga, Mek. Grafiknya ini loh, Cok. Sumpah ya, gua bingung banget loh. RRQ. Mau sampai kapan, Cok, dikatain juara lokal doang, anjing? Kenapa sih di turnamen internasional harus draft picknya kayak begini, Cok?
Might have gone for the only play possible. Yeah, obviously he died, but then again, Abren knew exactly that would happen, and now Lord Fight, no retribution for Arkeoshi.
Brusco-nya ngapain? Ya ampun.
Decides to hit a quick 180. Wasn't able to find the opportunity. Skylar trying to get the steal.
Udah mati Brusco-nya, udah mati
AP Bren will claim this Lord and a body of Super Mario.
Guys, abis ini kita nonton yang di Rusia aja kali ya.
A 2-for-none trade. And right now, we haven't seen RQ.
Sama-sama, coba yang di Rusia gue kali 2 dulu guys, sebentar ya guys ya.
And so far, it's been more of a reactionary side of things for them. AP Bren just controlling the tempo.
Ini
yang di Inggris ini suka banget patah-patahnya, Cok.
Reactionary, heavily reactive. They're not making the heads-up play, right? They're not making a play. That's what I'm trying to say here for Arkeoshi. They're always just reacting to what AP Bren is doing.
Tadi agak fail si Brusco-nya buat nge-cancel skill satunya ya guys ya. Ujung-ujungnya di take down juga nih.
AP Bren are so active and they're taking control of the tempo so quickly.
Wah, suram Cok.
Stepping into the base for Arkeoshi for a possible early finish. AP Bren.
Belum end.
The Lord is getting bursted down.
Belum end ya guys ya, sabar. Gue mau cek dulu di Rusianya, udah sama belum menitnya, 14.27, 14.28.
Like we said, the later the game goes, the better it'll be for Arkeoshi to be able to turn this around.
Sama aja ternyata anjing.
Definitely getting
Inggris aja deh.
take that fight and negate the physical damage as you are seeing them possibly go in to try and take some of these remaining inhibitor turrets.
52k kayak dia nonton. Emang sampai 52k? Thank you ya buat semua yang nonton ya. Anjing. Gua tapi jujur gua kecewa banget sih sama grafiknya ini, Cok. D-Rotnya sih gua gak suka D-Rot banget anjing. Guys, by the way, jangan lupa untuk selalu top up di beaconstore.id. Cobain dulu guys, tercepat dan termurah ya guys ya. Dan jangan lupa baju gue juga masih promo di Shopee-nya Use Your Brain. Langsung linknya ada di description ya guys ya. Gue lagi banting harga 50% untuk cuci gudang dan abisin stok guys. Habis itu gue gak mau jual baju lagi soalnya. Gak gitu Cok, kagak ada ujihaan lah, tenang aja guys.
It's gonna be a challenge, especially going up against Ogwin on this Ruby. I mean, even if he tries to hit a Tyrant's Revenge or Tyrant's Rage, for a group setup, I mean, Ogwin just has to provide a little bit of chain CC to kind of stop him in his tracks. And I feel like that's a little bit of the struggle we've been seeing so far for him to be able to get those setups that Arkeoshi is baiting for.
Yeah, I'm coming up of ways for Arkeoshi to come back from this game. The number one option, obviously, is just to rely on the late game of Layla.
Sekelas RRQ. Sekelas RRQ yang dari kemarin ngebantai terus ya guys ya. Dibikin beda networknya 14.000 anjing. 13.000. 13.000, Cok.
My magic number is 23 minutes where everybody's just, farmed out. Everybody's just locked item. And it wouldn't matter if you lose one all of your inhibitors. It wouldn't matter as long as
Nasi goreng Balken kapan buka? Itu mau udah bangkrut, Cok. Tungguin Cosmic Biliar Tangerang aja ya.
Then again, will AP Bren allow that? Because so far, AP Brand
Oke, Lord
now
pun.
the luxury to go for banana.
Mati banananya. Wah, banana
Yeah,
juga.
gonna go ahead and
Aduh,
do the banana
ngapain, Cok?
split.
Ya
Super
ampun.
Marco taking him down. Ice cream
Ngapain, Cok?
Sunday. We'll be able to find
Banana
one over
berharap
Arky
apa,
Hoshi.
Cok? Ada di
Tried to get
situ,
that contest
anjing,
on that last
sendirian.
minute Lord still didn't really work out in his favor, and that's gonna
Banana
put
berharap
Arky
apa?
Hoshi
Mau
in a
colong Lord
disposition in
kah?
this
Gue
team fight.
bingung, anjing. Aduh.
Really questionable play coming up from Banana going for that. I mean, they have already conceded the Lord.
Banana ngapain?
Didn't have to really look into the third, knowing that there's a lot of catch from AP Bren. You have Kyle Kizzy, and you have Ogun with the flicker.
Gue tuh sangat berharap tuh game 1 tuh adalah perlawanan ya guys ya.
Really questionable play coming up from Banana out there.
And AP Bren holding the banner for the Philippines, try and find their first game of the day up against Indonesia or
nge-defend, guys.
Hoshi.
Anjing, nge-defend, Cok. Ayo, Cok. Nge-defend, Cok.
Able to burst down.
Ayo, Cok, nge-defend, Cok. Ayo dong.
Hold off AP Bren from closing
Aduh,
out this
nge-defend,
game.
nge-defend.
A second
Puji
time.
Tuhan.
Finishing that 23 mark.
Masih
He is the
nge-defend,
time
Cok.
that
Masih
we're looking
nge-defend.
for Arky
Ayo,
Hoshi to
guys.
do the damage
Bawa ke late
necessary
game,
to
guys.
overweight
Bisa,
the
bisa, bisa.
items
Ayo, yuk.
for Skylar to
Ayo,
turn
yuk.
this
Bisa, yuk.
around.
Defend terus,
Trust in
yuk.
Layla, the
Anjing, ini gue
$1 million
berasa
baby
ngeliat
machine.
Layla gue lagi di ranked, anjing. Sampai ke bawah ke late game. Oke. Guys, duit Skylar 10.000, guys. Let's go!
As much as possible.
Bisa yuk. Duit Skylar 10.000, guys. Bisa yuk.
Even when it was for V5, they were able to keep Skylar safe. That's always...
Ya, bisa yuk.
The Lilia is the bridge for them to
Skylar, kalau gua lihat dari segi itemnya lagi on the way ke arah BOD sih itu.
Oh my
Yeah, Octa very low, trying to get away. Use the black shoes.
Guys, anjing, bisa rata gak sih?
Going down. Super Marco
kontil.
find
Nggak
Brusco.
bisa,
Few
nggak bisa.
takes down Octa. 2 members
Ulti
down
Faramis,
inside of RRQ
wah, nggak
Hoshi.
bisa,
Make
nggak
that a
bisa,
third.
nggak
And
bisa,
Super
nggak
Marco
bisa.
gets another.
Ini by the way Faramis PR sih. Faramis harus di ban sih. PW jago banget sih. Aduh, tapi PW itu pakai hero apapun juga jago sih ya.
Game of Futures 2024 by themselves. AP Bren, Kyle Teasy will shut down the $1 million baby.
Percuma sih. Itu tadi nge-setup gimana pun ada ulti Faramis jadi percuma guys semuanya guys.
Looks like he won't be able to contest. They're just gonna let him get out of there. He's not gonna be able to recall back. Still will get the kill and a full wipeout against RRQ Hoshi. AP Bren takes game number 1.
Capek nontonnya anjing.
That is a clinic from AP Bren. This is how you win as a team. Absolutely perfect rotations in the early stages. Even their calculated takes on those crabs just to allow for Super Marco to have an extra launch pad going up against his matchup. And they played out the draft really well.
Kenapa sih?
The last pick coming out from
Tai,
was
kesel
perfect
gua.
because it solved that Layla problem when it comes to the laning stage. Make it really difficult from Skylar to stay up top. And that also called the attention of the Kufra. And
Skylar, Layla lagi ketika melawan AP Bren.
Rad was already in
Gak salah ini.
I can see Brusco just charging up far too late, and that allowed Few to catch up. Few was able to take out Irad, and these indecisions coming out from RQ Hoshi just really bit them in the end.
Yeah, I mean, AP Bren just having such execution. You see Few taking out Skylar. Brusco having a hard time finding those sets the team was kind of relying on and didn't really have the easiest composition to be able to pull it off, especially having to kind of protect Skylar on the Layla. Some great domination inside of all the neutral objective areas, taking the Lords, taking the Turtles, and also being able to invade and claim majority of the turrets with little to no problem. Like you kind of mentioned in the beginning of things, RQ Hoshi was very reactionary, just letting the AP Bren dominate, and it didn't really build up to a turnaround that they were looking for. And I think they were kind of banking on AP Bren playing a little bit similar to Deus Volt, not being able to close it out toward that before that 23-minute mark, looking for that power spike. But unfortunately, that plan did not work in their favor. And AP Bren, hey, we're the world champions. We're the last team standing for the Philippines. Ain't no way we're letting the Layla take us out.
Drop-nya bener dikit lah, babi!
For AP Bren a little bit from now. And they kind of spelled that Arkeoshi overstayed outside their base just for what, 10 or 15 seconds, and already punishing them for that. Even after some of the defense from Arkeoshi, even before the fight broke out, I already know that this is going to be a bad decision from Arkeoshi. And what I'm trying to say here is, at this point, 18 minutes, there is no license for RQ Hoshi to get out of their base. They're basically quarantined inside their base, and they don't have the pass from the government. That's exactly what they should be thinking during that moment. And it only took one sniff from both Ogwin as well as Kaltizi to know that, okay, they're out of their base. This is our opening. And that's exactly what happened. AP Bren destroying and outplaying RQ Hoshi just because of the fact that they're more experienced as well as they have the better tempo control. They knew exactly how to deal with this composition, and they've punished duly. Our MVP is Super Marco, and I mean, we cannot really contest that. He played so well in this game. Very much on point with his laning as well as his positioning and the damage dealt as well from this Clint.
And some great setups to get him to that MVP.
Gak di RRQ, gak di Onic, gak di RRQ, PH ya Uchiha.
Right there. Stats are on the board. 11 assists. But I gotta give credit to Few and Kyle Teasy as well. As they were right behind Arwen. Just showing you how much synergy AP Bren has compared to a lot of other teams. You mentioned RQ Hoshi, newer on the scene, still a really good team. They've been taking the world by surprise, and I know Indonesia's proud on how they've been performing so far. But AP Bren, they're the world champions, right? They definitely have been playing a little bit longer and have earned that title from M5. And they don't plan on going down without a fight. Now, that is only game number 1. This is a best of 3, so there is still a chance for RQ Hoshi to be able to turn this around. But I don't see them pulling out the Layla again. I don't really think it worked out. I feel like even if they went in with Brusco on a different roamer to be able to kind of protect the early game objectives. And even toward the mid phase for AP Bren is very hyper focused. It's fast, and you can't have more of a passive play style against it. They need something that can either match the aggression from the side of AP Bren or beat them to the punch.
Yeah. My God, look at that! Look at that difference when it comes to the farm. Yeah, it's well, it really isn't like Skylar's fault that happened. It was mainly because of the movements that we saw from AP Bren. I think that I've already said it twice when we were casting, but I'm going to say it again. The micro and macro rotations coming out from AP Bren were perfect. The way that they're setting up each other to be able to get the most out of the time that they're given. For example, when they tried to also go for the push into the bottom lane together with the turtle, even when Red was able to snatch a turtle, their movements were so good that there wasn't any counter from the team. Then, when they tried to go for the push in the middle with Super Marco looking like he was alone, and obviously that's never gonna happen. A gold laner in the mid lane at the early stages of the game, pushing that turret, it's impossible that he's alone, right? And then Brusco.
Terus ya, yang menurut gua agak aneh itu ya, di Rot Hyper tuh tadi jadi second picknya buat RRQ, guys. Buat apa, cok? Maksudnya second pick tuh pilih di Rot, anjing.
The Paquito with the flicker.
Kalau misalnya last pick gitu loh, setelah melihat musuhnya dan ternyata cocok pakai D-Rot, mungkin gue udah komen ini second pick, cok, tadi, cok.
I cannot remember if the black shirt was actually popped afterwards, but the point is, there is a way to in that spot. So it's more like,
bentar. Ini ya Jawer, gue nyalain dulu suaranya ya. Kalau matchnya lagi nggak mulai, gue ganti dulu. Bentar, biar gampang.
An M5 championship team, that will never happen. And that might be that is definitely the reason why AP Bren won that game. Every single play
ku yang tercinta. Kenapa setiap turnamen internasional begini ya, sedih, Cok. Bingung, guys. Playernya udah jago-jago, kenapa draftpicknya nih ada aja, Cok. Bingung gue aja.
All full man team, full sending for the kill. Every single time. It didn't matter how far ahead they were on the board. They know, hey, we have the numbers. These little small objectives is what will make the difference toward that mid phase. And especially if they have a Layla, we can't let them get to the late game. So these little things matter. And honestly, just some great execution from them inside of that match. Now, looking at the side of RQ Hoshi, right? I mean, this is a different game that we've seen from Skylar and Brusco. When Skylar has to play the Layla, he's required to kind of play really far back in that lane and kind of be very passive. Normally, we see him take the fight a little bit more inside of the gold lane, be more aggressive, and also have some survivability. We know Layla is one of the few marksmen that lacks mobility and survivability in that lane, requires the roamer to kind of babysit and protect her at all times. And Skylar was the first kill of the game. You know, and as a marksman,
Layla is the first kill of the game.
Not something you want, especially before the first turtle spawning in, and on a late game marksman that's supposed to kind of carry you through the way. So I think maybe
10.000 dari 112. Pesan, masih jual skin gak bang?
Ada 112.
Game of Futures 2024. We've seen him on the Claude, we've seen him on the Beatrix. All some viable options can definitely take him to the next level up against AP Bryn.
Yeah, you can see now why the Ruby is one of the top choices for the teams. Obviously, when other teams used it, it didn't look as if it's a top tier play. In fact, the win rate of Ruby is very, very low. But when they're played by someone like Ogwen and AP Bryn as a team, where there's a set rotation, it looks wonderful.
RRQ tadi kill 0 ya guys.
10.000 dari Samwan. Pesan, Mihken makan telur biar sehat.
Was for the Kufra. Although we know for sure that Brusco knows how to play the hero, they were put in a spot where they had to choose a roamer for Brusco. That's number one, not meta, and number two, cannot accomplish anything close to what a Ruby can accomplish, right? So if you remember that first blood, I said that the Kufra should be delegated in the spot where you're a defensive
10.000 dari Samwan. Pesan, jauh-jauh ke Rusia cuma buat latihan Layla keren.
Actually hit Super Marco, but because it's the early game, Layla cannot take out Super Marco.
Siapa yang kecewa? Absen dulu guys.
I don't think that the ultimate was available.
Saya.
Surely they hit their shots with the Kufra.
Gue sih kecewa sih anjing.
Not accomplish anything. Didn't even pull
10.000 dari Ijal. Pesan, bang teman si Afril pendukung Ganjar suka nonton B0
jangan bawa apa Ganjar lagi.
Bouncing ball that can stop the Ruby to go for the play and actually snag Skylar, right? So that is where you struggle. Maybe if they kind of change their minds during that clash, right? For the Kufra to just maybe run in
10.000 dari Aryoga. Pesan, ganti jersey Luken kutukan itu.
Gak ada anjing.
Bouncing ball as well as the first kill for when
gak ada hubungannya, Cok.
Target his own team.
Trafiknya aja aneh anjing.
Would have been different, right? The first blood might not have been for the Layla.
Tadi tuh ya, pas lagi traffic gue ngomong, Cok, ke lu pada. Ini mah gak mungkin si Pick Layla. Musuhnya nabrak-nabrak gini semua ngentot. Beberapa detik kemudian muncul Layla beneran, Cok.
That now if you compare it to Ruby, the Ruby can accomplish so much more than a Kufra would.
And it's the same thing with the Layla and a Clint as well. Just so much that a Clint can accomplish that the Layla can't. So like you said, they were limiting themselves in terms of these objectives, in terms of the laning phase, and that's what kind of costed them up against AP Bryn in game number 1. Now, there's a lot of sustainability on the table, and I got to give credit over there to AP Bryn on how well they executed with racking up those assists, right? I mean, you had few rushing in every time you've seen,
dari
they
FIFA
had early game
RRQ.
damage from the side of
Pesan,
Hoshi.
emang draft
They
gel
not
tapi
only had a
jujur
Lilia, but
dari
they went
gameplay
A-Rat on
Brusco
the
enggak
Dyrok
banget,
inside of the
jujur
jungle, which
aja
was a great
Brusco gak
answer,
banget.
like you mentioned, over to Kyle TZ on the Boxia.
Tapi gak bisa nyalain Brusco juga sih. Itu tadi semua lane memang kalah guys. Mau ngomong apa, Cok? Gak bisa nyalain Brusco juga, Cok, tadi itu.
10.000 dari GETBENZ. Pesan, OTW Rusia pakai Layla URAAAA.
That was just some great execution on the 5v5 engagements. And with them being behind in the economy, with Skylar falling so early, not being able to take these turtles, it was a recipe for disaster inside of game number 1, especially against
10.000 dari Asep. Pesan, silahkan pilih 7 atau 017 BTW di roadnya Savage tadi.
Kind of plays out for them, right? I don't expect them to plot the Layla again. I expect to see the RQ
anjing, di 017 nih pasti bakal dibawa-bawa terus tai.
And also inside of the quarterfinals, where they actually go in for more pickups that they don't rely on protecting their marksmen as much. They're not really as reactionary, but they can take that fight into the jungle, onto those turtles, even possibly invade or necessary, and that's where they can kind of turn this around. Because if not, then we will be seeing AP Bryn push on forward, the last standing team out of the Philippines, taking out one of the 2 teams currently still in the mix for Indonesia.
Yeah. if I were to guess, I think that maybe the reaction
10.000 dari pemuja TikTok. Pesan, Ken sumpah coba deh eksperimen lepas baju ganti yang lain kali game kedua RRQ menang asu.
Nggak ada lah, Cok.
First phase, get the ruby as much as possible, or maybe secure the Minotaur, right? Those
tapi gua kalau jadi friend, gua kayaknya ban Faramis sih guys itu. Ya udahlah, mendingan gambling sih lawan mid laner yang lain ya guys ya.
15.000 dari someone. Pesan, masih jual skin bang.
Ada.
The hack of Brusco strat might be the thing for AP Brand for them to low-key win the drafting against Arkyushi.
Yeah, and they may end up banning for Arkyushi.
10.000 dari telur. Pesan, pick di road dikala ada Faramis secetek itu kah pemikirannya gak abis thinking.
To be able to deal some damage. You know what else is on the table though? The Benedetta that we've seen dominate over there into the hands of Benedetta.
Lebih bagus ya untuk
in the group stage,
untuk draftnya, come on.
The mobility is just very hard to match.
Kalau draft pick udah bagus,
either a CC or
dan ternyata masih kalah juga ya sudah terima aja lah guys. Berarti memang skillnya masih jauh di
10.000
bawah
dari
Brand ya.
someone. Pesan, apakah match 2 nanti ada Sober Roam?
Oh, actually, it banned out. They took out the Navarre. I was going to say that's definitely still an option. But something else that we've seen from last game, the Faramis is still on the table.
Yeah, Faramis. That could be valid first pick for AP Brand. They're that kind of team.
Udah random banget lah ini anjing.
Just because of how few is great with the hero. Another hero that they take away from Brusco as well as Irad is the Guinevere. This will definitely be a trend for AP Brand as they want to take this series 2-0. Just take away all of those heroes that will make it comfortable for both Irad as well as Brusco.
Guys, bentar, gue mau ngambil makanan gue di bawah.
The first pick, indeed it will be Arkyushi. Do they go for Lilia already this time? CC is open, but I think they go Lilia. Actually, Minotaur. There's something in me that says that maybe the Minotaur is going to be first face picked here by Arkyushi.
100% CC first pick for Arkyushi. Yeah. And then I do agree with you for those additional picks as they go back in. Oh, whoa. The Minotaur. Okay, but Diggy's still on the table. So do they go in for more of a frontline jungler for the side of AP Bryn and pull out the Diggy to kind of counteract that CC? Or are they not even going to go the Diggy at all, considering there is a Fredrin on the table, which could definitely overwhelm the time journey?
Yeah, AP Brand might not really consider that. Maybe they'll be happy about the Faramis. Of course, it will be considered, but maybe the latter portions of the game. For their priority should be maybe
10.000 dari Jokowi Turu. Pesan RRQ dari kemarin main udah bagus tapi kurang sosok yang bisa naikin mental player.
And the Minotaur all together. Then I'm thinking Arlet actually for AP Brand because that's usually what they pick up against this Fredrin, and there it is, the Brody.
That's why you're the $1 million caster right there. Look at that $1 million prediction over there. Brody does get slotted up. I think it's a great answer, especially against a heavy frontline composition. I mean, teams that like to dive in, go back to the backline onto marksman. Brody's one of the best pickups for that, right? He has the corrosion strike to be able to get that stun, get back, has a flicker to top that off as well to expand the distance.
Kayaknya friend ini dia lebih mikir untuk lebih mewaspadai Novarianya ya guys ya. Karena coach friend itu pasti tahu banget sebenarnya gameplay para anak-anaknya di AP Brand ya guys ya.
Today. It's definitely been
dia tahu banget sih memang.
Rotating around, able to get to the positions necessary
10.000 dari someone. Pesan, Bang rela begadang malah dibantai kayak public engineer.
I guess they could.
Iya, bingung lah.
But it would make it a little
Terima kasih ya Tuhan atas makanan yang kau berikan. Dalam Tuhan Yesus, ku berdoa dan menjawab syukur kami Tuhan.
So that will be a little bit of an easier time for the Boxia rotating around.
Nathan, going to be the pickup for Ark.
Guys, sambil makan ya.
I would have said Claude, but then again, this totally makes a lot of sense. It's an AoE. There's a lot of AoE that you can get out of the Nathan. Although it will take a lot of time, it's definitely okay and advisable to go for a late game hero now for Arkyushi, because if you look at their two heroes, it allows for those late game types of heroes like the Nathan that really likes to farm a lot.
10.000 dari someone. Pesan, penyakit RRQ gak ada RESPECT hero lawan.
Another sustained kind of hero, or maybe somewhere along the lines of a Lilio that can actually sustain
sound give ya,
herself so
kumatin
that
dulu
it can
ya.
output the damage. And now, actually, I think AP Brand might look to ban that hero, that Lilia, and maybe
10.000 dari Irul Adam, pesan Irat Nit Martaba.
That's honestly exactly what I was going to say, right? The Nana or the Lilia is definitely something RQ Hoshi could profit off of, and a great read from AP Brand to be able to counteract that. Now, that will put RQ Hoshi in a little bit of a bind
makanya
on who
segini,
they
Bang.
go in
Iya.
for their mage. Now,
Kelupaan, Cok.
Valentina looks to still be on the table. They could pick that up.
Tapi
I mean, it'd be
nggak ada
great
ini
against
aku
the
nggak ada
fairness that
nggak pakai
provide
karbo.
the nether realm.
Sate
to the side of
taichan
RQ Hoshi.
dagingnya
They
doang,
have a
terus
little
gua
bit
nggak
of
pakai sambal.
sustainability from Bruce on the Minotaur, but it would be a really good pickup, especially to give him even more heals on these 5v5 engagements. Up against a hero like Brody, right? He pops that torn apart memories, instantly go in for that nether realm.
Biasanya 150.
No worries about it. You've been talking about the Nathan sneaking up into the scene as well today, and now we get to see a showcasing of exactly how well it will perform up against AP Brand. But so far, we got a pretty solid draft on our hands.
Yeah, that's Lilia banned out by AP Brand as expected.
Nathan lebih bagus
But
sih.
you're right.
Nathan sih lebih oke ya guys ya.
Valid pick up here for RQ Hoshi. However, there's
2-1
that option of
buat
the
RRQ,
Aurora,
Kang
which
Jolly.
really couples up well with the Minotaur. Maybe the next best choice is the Vexana. These two heroes that can that actually replaced Farsa and Eve, that really puts themselves just way back into the fights and just output the damage. That makes a lot of sense versus the Faramis, so that you can trickle down the extra HP from the ultimate. So that could be a valid option here for RQ Hoshi. Might reserve their XP lane for last, or maybe they picked it up. Oh, there it is, the Vexana. I think maybe RQ Hoshi will close it up with a Lapu Lapu.
A Lapu Lapu. You know what I'd be interested to see? The Benedetta slide through that they've been kind of dominating so well on.
That's also true.
Especially with Banana. And we talked about it walking in the early phase of the draft. And I mean, he's performed really well on it. It could be a possible pickup, especially since CC was not able to be slotted. It was currently banned out. And that's one of the few XP laners that we've been kind of seeing him run so far. We did see the Ruby banned out as well, which could have been a great answer, either flex to the XP lane or the roam position. So I would say, yeah, Benedetta could be a very good pickup for the side of RQ Hoshi. But in terms of AP Bryn, they're looking pretty solid with their draft. They have sustainability. They have great front line from the box share. And good damage from the Brody. And there goes the Grok that we've seen already previously in the quarterfinals.
I would have said that maybe they snatched the Lapu Lapu, and indeed they did that, because that means that RQ Hoshi will not have the perfect hero to counter the Faramis as well as Brody. So yeah, I think they're left with one option, which is the Benedetta now for RQ Hoshi. Apart from that, the choice will be Yuzhong, which is not the most ideal scenario. But if they want, they can still go for, like, I think they're left with Benedetta because you have AoE damage, match up against the Lapu Lapu. Well, maybe the craziest hero that they can get
Flappy Bird itu ngeri banget lagi ya.
Probably Yuzhong, although that is like a very underwhelming hero to go up against AP Brand. And there's it. Well, there's the Benedetta, a specialty for RQ Hoshi. Great closeout. I think this is a relatively even draft, but I do like that the Nathan pick coming out from RQ Hoshi, because it makes a lot of sense with the heroes that are around it. You have the Vexana to output the damage when the Minotaur goes for the initiation. You have Fredrin to frontline for the team. And with this kind of lineup, they have a way to front.
Alright guys, welcome back with the Brandon.
With Banana. So
sekarang kita akan masuk ke dalam match kedua antara RRQ melawan AP Brand ya guys ya.
Yeah, and with Skylar running the Nathan, it's definitely going to be a little bit different of a game than what we've seen on the lane. We are now stepping into the virtual arena. AP
dari pick-an hero-nya sudah lebih bagus ya guys ya. Sekarang tinggal gimana mental pemain RRQ aja sih untuk berjuang ya guys ya. Semoga bisa tetap memberikan yang terbaik guys.
And that amazing draft, like we said, pretty even on the scoreboard, but time will tell on who will be our victor for game number 2.
It's going to be a really good matchup. And I do hope that we get to a game number 3. Just because of how good the two coaches are drafting. I mean,
sambil makan na guys,
that's what I can say. It makes for an interesting draft, and I kind of want to see more. But at the same time, obviously, AP Brand would want to close this out 2-0. the way that they drafted this is to win the lanes, right? So you have the Lapu-Lapu, which is a hero that rarely loses lane. Really good in that regard. Going up against the Benedetta, I think that if you go damage build on Banana, you're gonna have a better time against the Lapu-Lapu because of the trading potential that you have. Just
Brusko belum apa-apa udah dicabulin gini anjing, apaan sih guys?
Yeah, and Brusco.
Anjing ini Oigen sama Peu nih gila banget ya mainnya guys.
Starting to try and be a little bit more aggressive. May look a little bit more promising the game number 1 on the bot side. Banana very comfortable.
Aduh anjing lah, satu hit lagi Banana. Anjing hoki banget sih.
On the 1v1 engagement.
Yeah. Gotta be Banana, just, you know. There's always that thing where you say that Banana is a one-trick kind of player, but man, every time you watch his Benedetta and the way that he plays it, you're always amazed. You can see even Flap TZ on the Yuzhong, the Lapu-Lapu.
Tenang, hero LRG sekarang lebih baik ya guys ya. Semoga bisa ya. Wah, nice banget. Let's go guys.
Be able to find one. Takes on Ogwin. A little different of a start than we've seen in game number 1. This time, we're able to see RQ Hoshi take the first kill as we kind of pan over for a quick second. They are leading. That was first blood and now up by about 500 gold.
Yeah. Good movements. Taking advantage of the Fredrin Minotaur wall that they can have, moving wall that they have with the Vexana from behind. It's like a war strategy from RQ Hoshi where they're slowly sieging AP Bren with these big boys in front line, and AP Bren couldn't do anything about it. Even in this thorough take, you can see that it's difficult for them, and Octa is just outputting so much damage from behind.
Dapat turtle.
Free to do it.
Mantap.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Irab will be able to claim that turtle. RQ Hoshi, this is what we're talking about. This is the RQ Hoshi we've seen in Group Stage A and in the quarterfinals. Now, leading the way in the early game, AP Brent on the backside of things this time around. Now, I would say Banana definitely opening up a lot of opportunity. Running on the Benedetta, a comfort pick, a staple pick inside of his hands. It definitely makes the difference in the early phase of the game, and it's something that RQ Hoshi is leaning on. Now, for AP Brent, I mean, they're still looking pretty promising. We like the Brody pickup, right? It's really good up against the up-and-close and personal heroes. Even the Benedetta, if she decides to rush in, it could be a possible problem. But so far, RQ Hoshi, with the slight lead, looks like they've been able to find their tempo since game 1.
Oh, yeah. And even Skylar is leading when it comes to the EXP going up against Super Marco, if I'm seeing this correctly. But there was a time where Skylar was level 5 and Super Marco was level 4. Super Marco had to go back to base, and this is looking really well for RQ Hoshi. All of the lanes are going in their favor, and all of the core heroes from RQ Hoshi are getting the farm over their designated matchup. So that's definitely a good sign. 3 minutes, 38 seconds to get the Feather of Heaven. Great timing for Skylar.
Guys, ini LSNG unggul di awal sih guys. Bisa menang ini guys, sumpah guys. Bisa menang ini.
RQ Hoshi looks like they're gonna go in for a
bisa menang ini guys ya.
Rushing straight in a few, but he may be able to make his way into that tier 2 turret.
Ini dari drop hero-nya udah bagus banget ya. Hero LSNG kali ini sih melawan lah ini hero-nya ya guys ya. Kasih tahu Irat. Kasih tahu, let's go. Aduh, ditumbur anjing.
Because of Brusco's protection.
Yeah, big wild charge.
Waduh, kena tembok tadi guys.
Dropping down from Ogden, trapping Brusco and Octa from escaping. It's a good
Halo, Seragen Jawa Tengah. Makasih Mas Khairul.
Because that was a good setup to kind of zone them away from escaping.
Yeah. Great plays coming up from RQ Hoshi. You can see that without the wild charge, AP Brent might not be thinking about taking the turtle actually. Maybe they just go for pickups. But in comes the turtle fight.
Yeah, sitting at about 75% HP. Irad on it over here with the Fredrin, being a little bit of a bully, not afraid to take the fight up close and personal. Rushes into Ogwin for the setup. TZ.
Ini LSNG lebih unggul sih jauh ini guys.
Total control of the jungle and turtle pit so far, even extending into the purple buff, but Irad may be a little too close if they decide to engage. Big Manoa Fury, triple knockup onto AP Fred. Brusco.
Nice! Aduh, bangsat Paramit lagi ngentot.
Coming alive from Few as both teams still fighting it out over this turtle. Neither side able to find
anjing ganggu banget Paramisnya, kampret.
Low, and Irad is half HP but does have the sustain from the as a Fredrin. And they're trying to buzz from this turtle. Who takes it though?
Dapat turtle lagi, nice banget.
Still for RQ Hoshi, Brusco will fall though. Super Marco.
Gak apa-apa, Brusco mati ya guys ya, pengorbanan guys.
That will
It's
go
okay,
into the hands of AP Brent, but they
Skylar
lose the
free
neutral
farm ya guys ya,
objective.
Skylar free farm.
A 1,000 gold lead.
Ayo
for RQ
Skylar.
Hoshi.
Balaskan dendam di game pertama ya.
Gonna rush in, big wild
Aduh mati ya
charge for
Irat
the
ya.
knockup.
Anjing, untung aja
Irad
cowok.
will be able to get out of there though. Very low on the HP. Electrifying blow going down from Banana through the Guardian's barrier provided over there from Ogwin, who has had some really good setups with it. I think his placement have been pretty valid so far.
Bisa nih, bisa nih.
Yeah.
Skylar free farm banget nih. Gak record kan? Udah record. Dimas Muhammad, thank you ya udah ngingetin ya.
The position is just way too good for his Vixana. Octa is just providing so much defense for his team while also outputting the damage, right? So you cannot really just dive as AP Bren. And if you're thinking about the composition of AP Bren, they're mainly like, I would say melee based. Thinking about it, like Brody hasn't, without the ultimate, Brody's range is not that good.
Mati tuh. Aduh, nice banget ya ampun.
Gets melted down few.
Nice banget anjing, let's go!
The Faramis ultimate.
Yeah, nice and early pickoff from the side play of the Bush in the mid lane.
Ini Skylar belum ikut war loh guys dari tadi guys.
Skylar
belum ikut war loh guys dari tadi guys.
Controlling this map for
Sumpah cok, ini RRQ main rapi aja guys ya. Bisa menang ini cok.
Came for AP Bryn is now the team that is reacting to RQ Hoshi.
That's really good from RQ Hoshi. This is the tempo that we're looking for. And like we said, like these four people, they will not leave each other. They will let Banana do the split for them. And both Octa as well as Skylars, they're going to be able to output the damage that they needed because of the two bad dudes in the front line. That's Irad and Brusco. And I don't know if you know this already, but Brusco in Tagalog can also mean something like a big dude in the front line, like a brawn kind of dude. Like he's when you say when you're Brusco, you're like a jacked kind of dude in the front lines.
Yeah, definitely showcasing.
Aduh, Okta nggak mati, Okta nggak mati. Wah, rata nih. Ayo RRQ, ayo,
Nice
mati rata.
You are seeing the Terrify go down. Octa able to find Flapteezy, unable to find his
nice.
side of the jungle.
Flappy Board jadi feeder anjing.
Let's
go.
3 seconds until the Lord spawns in.
Oh man, they're not
Skylar ya.
by outputting so much damage. Look at Skylar. Good hit on the second skill, and now Kaltizi goes into the fray.
Yeah, he's gonna rush in, hit with the Terrified though. Irad trying to get away. The wall will drop again.
Ayo, please, RRQ harus menang, cok. Nyawa terakhir ini anjing. Aduh, Brusco mati ya. Anjing lah.
Super Marco will find him, and no one Fury goes down right before he falls.
Let's go. Dapat Lord ya guys ya. Dapat Lord guys. Banana mati ya. Aduh, nggak apa-apa. Dapat Lord.
Super Marco takes down Banana to respond.
Oke, tahan. Main sabar ya guys ya. Main sabar. Come on.
All due fairness, RQ Hoshi's Lord dance is great. They got the Lord after that. But AP Brent, they're juggling. Their isolation moves are looking very neat. And that's the thing for RQ Hoshi. The only reason for them to lose some of the members is that if somebody gets isolated. It is exactly what happened with Brusco as well as Banana. Nevertheless, they still secured the Lord, which is much more important in this case. Like losing your roamer for the Lord is definitely a positive trade for you. And RQ Hoshi can now take over the map once again.
Kalau misalnya udah beli, lu kabarin gua ya nama Shopee lu apa ya. Biar nanti gua tanda tanganin, oke?
We'll take another tier 2 turret in their favor. Now leading 4 turrets
Terus kasih
to
tau gua mau
none
ditanda tanganin di mana.
and may claim some more in the mid lane as they are going to siege for that tier 1. It will fall into their hands. 3 major objectives, 2 turrets and a Lord over to their side so far. Even on the kills though. But
jangan lupa beli diamond di BKStore.id. Dan baju gua semuanya lagi gua obral untuk cuci gudang. Harganya 100.000 sampai 125.000. Langsung ke Shopee-nya use your brain. Linknya ada di description ya guys ya.
1,000 gold ahead of the Brody and already up with 3 items. And by the way, Crystal and Stardom side with the Feather of Heaven, that's gonna hurt. If you see someone just stay in front of Nathan for 1 or 2 seconds, no matter who that is, that guy's gonna die. And the only saving grace here for AP Brent is that they have the Faramis.
Mati gak sih Kalsinya?
Look at him take so much damage.
Ooh, big Minoan Fury as well for the knockup. The response back though.
Aduh, gak ada yang mati anjing, apaan sih? Flappy Bird-nya anjing, masih ada flicker dong. Ya ampun, kok jadi banana yang mati?
Before he's able to escape, that will be two members falling for the side. No, one member falling for the side of RRQ Hoshi. They still have the ground control, and they still want to take the fight.
Nice banget, Marco-nya mati, let's go.
Marco finds the marksman for AP Bryn and going in for this
langsung
tier 2
hilang,
turret.
Cok, kena ultinya si Irat anjing.
Not trying to give it up without a fight. It will fall though. Octa able to claim it for RRQ Hoshi.
Oh, did you see that juggle coming up from AP Bryn? Lefteasy activated the bravest fighter, hit onto two of their members, and looked like it's as if he will commit to the fight, but instead he went back, and that actually attracted Banana to go in and get isolated again. He was taken out. However, RQ Hoshi with
emang harus diakuin itu, Paramisnya jago banget anjing. Kacau tadi.
At least for the rest of their other members, they still were able to take out Super Marco, which is big, and they took an objective to go with it. So this is RQ Hoshi not only controlling the tempo, but now having great plans whenever they're trying to go for plays. It's not anymore a mindless play that they're doing or a very reactionary kind of play that they're doing. This is actually a planned assault coming out from RQ Hoshi.
And now passing that 11-minute mark, you're looking at
wah,
RQ
Banana
Hoshi
Split
having
di bawah,
control of this game so far. Hasn't lost a single turret in
anjir,
this
Banana
game.
Split
And
di bawah
now
anjing.
looking to take the next objective
Anjing tinggal
on the
setengah, Cok,
board.
HP-nya, Cok.
From AP Bryn.
Mati, Flappy Bird!
Flapteasy very low. Entropy going down. Skylar able to get it, but a wild charge from Ogwood. We'll get the knockup, but no bodies will fall.
Sodok semua Skylar, guys!
Onto AP Bryn. Still fighting it out. Octa will
Mati
find
copeunya,
another.
Cok. Mati
Down
copeunya.
goes
Oh,
Kaltizi.
shit!
In the fight, Skylar taking down Few. Super Marco and Ogwin by themselves. Few will get back in time, get the most out of the pass.
Let's go, Cok. Let's go, Cok. Menang nih, Cok.
Now you're looking at RQ Hoshi, trying to seize the opportunity to crack open the base from AP Bryn.
For more, Skylar just destroys them. Irad gets the last hit, but you can see them. Skylar though.
Yeah, very low.
No.
Can't get around that
Menang.
wall. Gets a kill on
Yeah!
Marco. 4 members falling. Looks like they're going
Yeah!
for the finish.
Ayo!
Hoshi looking to turn this game around. Can they do it? The terrify, the knockup, Kaltizi.
Yes!
Do all this damage, trying to buy some time. Few.
Yes!
Scarlet gets a double.
Yes!
Takes out
Turretnya ngetit!
Minions
Why?
are in play.
Why?
It will fall a full wipeout.
Ngapain anjing muter-muter?
Trying to close it out.
Yeah!
Just need a few minutes to go through, not able to close the distance. RRQ Hoshi flipping the script and turning this around, evens out the series.
Anjing,
against
satu
AP
sama,
Bryn.
Cok. Let's go, guys!
And just like we said before Game 1 started, the priority for RQ Hoshi is to win their lane
Anjing,
matchup.
keren.
Particularly in the side lanes. We saw that in this particular game with that Nathan going up against the Brody, you understand why it won. It's because of the range once again. And then eventually there was a gap between the gold laners where Skylar had a much better shot in the early stages of the game by getting much more farm compared to the Brody. Now we can see that in the bottom lane, that's also true with Flapteasy.
Akhirnya RRQ gak bercanda lagi.
In front of Flapteasy.
Ini baru draft seorang juara, anjing.
Not meant for AP Bryn's massive juggles. This game would have easily been in RQ Hoshi's favor. But at the same time, RQ Hoshi really woke up. And now Brusco actually is in a much more comfortable spot.
Itu baru namanya draft ya, guys ya.
He will pop the first.
Dari awal kita juga udah bilang bagus nih draftnya nih.
And then go for the flicker.
Anjing.
Nice timing on the AP Bryn. He times the flicker in the right moment so that he'll be able to catch AP.
Berarti lu jangan nonton, Bang. Bapak kau itu jangan nonton.
And what you only need to have like the follow-up coming up from the Vexana to eventually take over the game. And that's really what Brusco has been able to bring to the table when he's given this kind of comfortable heroes. Surely the Kufra is a hero that was mastered already by Brusco, but it doesn't work in the middle.
Guys,
now,
aduh, satu
like
game lagi ya.
Heroes like
aduh, gila, Cok.
Rock as well as this,
tegang banget, nyentot. Ngaceng nih gua, anjing.
100.000 dari warga Namek, pesan, efek di telepon Pak Afran langsung inget gajian belum ditransfer LSG, bener Dravai.
Bisa jadi anjing. Kesel banget, Cok, lihatnya tadi bangke.
Majority of the time we're seeing the side of RQ Hoshi win. Banana has this Benedetta. I'm convinced that the B in Benedetta stands for banana. the way he's performing so far today. But yeah, he's creating those opportunities every single time to be able to get the neutral objectives and also free up Skylar to have a good time in his gold lane, and it allows
sound buat gift-nya udah gue nyalain lagi.
Early phase, and once they start, they don't stop, right? We've seen them pretty much continue to check off those blocks on their list for these objectives, which led to that 13-minute finish, a very early game, and now we're sitting at an even series, and there goes our MVP.
40% damage taken. He really put his role into heart, right? So we said that it's a competition, but they went in for the Frederick from the tour. The idea here is that you have backliners to support you, which in this case is
10.000 dari Hikari. Pesan, Ken kaos lu ada yang XL ga FIFA RRQ.
Yang XL itu ada pokoknya yang money talks, above and below. What you really know sama fuck the world ya masih ada XL.
The only backline access that they have is Flap TZ. Surely you can argue that with Kaya.
Anjing seneng banget gua tai.
To damage the front.
Kayak apa ya rasanya tuh bisa dapat 1 poin dari AP Brand. Berarti ada kesempatan untuk menang anjing. Ada kesempatan coba buat menang Jo.
And RQ Hoshi took advantage of that. They have a much better front to back competition compared to AP Brand, and you can see them abuse that factor, especially in the early stages of the game where they just literally stopped Ogwen as well as Few from rotating to their own teammates, which now made it so that the side lanes, the natural advantage that you have for the side laners of RQ to flourish. That's exactly what happened in the early stages. And the good thing about RQ Hoshi
Min info Epos main jam berapa ini Ana masih aja anjing. Ana udah Ana.
Let go of that even when they lose some of their members, that's alright. Then they allow the Banana to go for the macro plays. Or overall, RQ Hoshi, well thought draft.
Yeah, definitely a well-thought draft and some excellent execution on top of that. Made for a game winner to even out this series up against AP Bryn. And now, with them being 1-1, me and you kind of expected, right? Game 2 to be a little bit closer. That's the RQ Hoshi that we've been seeing so far in Game of Futures 2024 that everybody has been talking about. I'm sure out in Indonesia, the crowd is going wild. The Philippines.
The crowd is going wild. Yeah, we're fucking wild, brother.
For the world champions from M5. Both of them fighting it out. The Philippines up against Indonesia. This is one of the most best matches I like to
guys, bentar guys. Ambil minum dulu gua.
I'm seeing both of these teams fight together against each other, but there can only be one person claiming victory, and they are currently both sitting with 1 win, which means the next team to win will knock out the other side.
And I'm sure that all of the Filipino fans out there have been shaken, because if you think about it, even when Bren is looking real good in the group stages and the first part of the playoffs yesterday, they are still literally 1 loss away from losing all of the Filipino teams' claim to the throne, right? So they're the last team standing for the Philippines, and they're literally 1 loss away from not having the chance to defend their world championship, right? So that's gonna be nerve-wracking for sure. And this really makes up for a very interesting format where it's a best of 3 in a single elimination. The games are literally every single game matters so much, and it's just very scary to think about that way. Like after winning so much, AP Red literally just 1 loss away from getting out of the tournament.
Yeah, just 1 loss away. And, you know, first off, that's the first loss that AP Bryn has taken in Game of Futures 2024. They've been undefeated so far. And that just
dari
shows
Kang
you
Telor.
how
Pesan,
strong of a
tadi
region
RRQ
Indonesia
cuma
is
ngetes
as
dulu
well, to
lawannya
be able to
keras
take away
apa
from them
nggak
and put
BG
them in a
sama
position
nggak
where they
tahu
have
harga
to
telur
lose
lagi
one,
mahal.
or they're done. Second thing I want to mention is, can we get some credit to Wolf on the freaking analyst points on the draft?
10.000 dari Marimo. Pesan, BG doain cabang omset A7 ZA Teres.
It's a pleasure casting with you. I mentioned watching international teams such as Indonesia and the Philippines, but also being able to, you know, cast alongside you, somebody who's been here since the beginning of the MLBB scene. I'm definitely got my notebook out, taking notes every step of the way as we're going through these drafts, and it's not been disappointing so far. I love seeing a series that goes to a best of 3 all the way to a game 3, and that's what we have today now. With both of these teams, everything on the line, I think AP Bryn they'll have a better chance if they find a way to make Banana uncomfortable. Maybe stop the Benedetta from coming out, because usually when the Benedetta's there, that's where they profit the most.
Yeah, I think that they will now have a little bit more priority towards their side lanes when it comes to drafting. So maybe this time they will let RRQ Hoshi pick up the side lanes first before they reveal theirs. Because that's literally what happened in game number 1. You can see that the first pick there was... the first pick there was... If I'm not mistaken, Layla. So they answered the Layla with the Clint. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is that...
One game. Satu game lagi nih.
For RQ Hoshi were picked first. And then Brenny Sports...
Halo, Mar. Thank you ya. 3 ringgitnya ya.
Clint versus Layla. And it was CC counter or answered by Lapu. What did Flap TC play in game number 1? You see, this is my memory.
I gotta go back.
Duh, bisa menang gak ya guys ya?
But that's not the point, right? At least to win the side.
Tegang banget
Game number 2, it was clear that RQ Hoshi now
10.000 dari Banteng Merah. Pesan, Ken baju yang gambar banteng gak dijual ya, bismillah RRQ final.
Itu bukan baju brand gua anjing.
Right, so at least you don't necessarily win the matchup of CC versus Pakiro, but if you play it correctly, it's a skills matchup anyway, so it's even. But when it comes to the game number 2, Nathan after getting level 2,
10.000 dari ADIKENTUT. Pesan, Bang gigiku lagi sakit INPO dokter yang makan YOSSSSSSSSS.
Going up against Super
Aduh, gak tahu ya.
Lost game number 2 just because of the fact that
biasa gua kalau gigi ke Smiling sih.
The earlier pick was the Brody. It was countered by the lane matchup Nathan. And then on the other side, it was definitely that...
Tadi ada yang donate pas lu ambil minum.
From RQ Hoshi.
Iya kah?
Banana adjusted. He didn't go for the sustain build on the Benedetta. He went for damage build, right? So
10.000 dari Megawatzi. Pesan, sehat-sehat orang sehat 3.
Sehat-sehat
So
orang
it's more of
sehat.
a glass cannon build up. So really, I would say that the key factor here for RRQ Hoshi to win against AP Bren is if they win the side lane matchup in the draft. So I think that should be
Nggak bisa
a point of
di-replay ya?
consideration for AP Bren. Maybe AP Bren might consider getting the second
Ini ya yang
pick
tadi
on
ya?
the red side so that they can win that matchup.
10.001 dari Kang Telor. Pesan, tadi RRQ cuma ngetes dulu lawannya keras apa enggak BG sama nggak tahu harga telur lagi mahal.
Kima anjing.
10.000 dari Jagete. Pesan, Ken bilangin Sidau suruh tobat jangan dugem mulu.
Sidau tobat jangan dugem mulu ya Sidau ya. Duga mulu.
In that gold lane, but able to kind of do it mostly by himself. And then again, with Banana not really having his staple pick, definitely didn't create the opportunity they were looking for on both sides of the table. But game 2, you can see a major difference when those two things are checked off.
Shopee lu namanya siapa? Use your brand.ind. Ada di description kok guys buat Shopee toko baju gua.
Those are two things that they should definitely be looking at, focusing on if they want to make sure they have this game in the bag. There's only one chance. There's only one more game. And one of these teams will be going home. The other one will move on
10.000 dari Aryoga Putra. Pesan, Ken ucapin selamat Hari Raya Galungan dan Kuningan buat balikan cewek Bali auto demen sama lu.
Selamat Hari Raya Galungan dan Kuningan ya buat segala rakyat di Bali dan buat semua cewek-cewek di Bali yang cantik-cantik, mantap.
10.000 dari Saipul Official. Pesan, semoga suatu saat bisa ketemu sama Bang Beken langsung, amin, ngefans banget sama Bang Beken.
Terima kasih Saipul Official. Nanti datang aja pas pembukaan Cosmic Billiard Tangerang ya.
Do they really want to go back to what worked in M5 World Championship? So what are those heroes? You have the Paramis on Few, you have Kyle TZ with the Baksha, as well as that Budi from Super But does it actually work in the metagame?
165.000 dari Udin. Pesan, Kari Epic Bang Ais Talon 1487856022161197.
That is
meluncur.
former technical coach. right? So they have an idea how to actually control that Brody composition. So maybe that's just
udah mulai guys.
things that AP Brand might consider. Oh, AP Brand still chose to go for blue side. They first banned the Ruby in game number 1, and that might be the case, but no, they banned out
10.000 dari Wal pacarnya Retno. Pesan, aku JG mau beli dong BG Ken bajunya TPI ada tanda tangannya BG Ken JG.
Iya, siap. Lo bisa kasih tau gue di sosial bus sama Shopee lo apa kalau udah beli, atau bisa chat ke Shopee-nya ya. Tapi takutnya kelupaan gitu loh.
Oh, I mean, they may still do it. They may ban out the R lot, maybe the Ruby as this progresses.
Tapi diusahain gak lupa ya.
Prior targets that they like to focus in on, especially, I mean, if RQ Hoshi doesn't ban the CC, that's a great pickup for AP Benish, especially to keep up with the mobility if they decide not to ban the Benedetta.
Dari ASUPI. Pesan, Bang bilangin ke temen KUM AS Koyor suruh latihan biar gak jadi beb kalau main.
Mas Koyor latihan ya biar lu tuh gak beban dan goblok, oke?
10.000 dari Rafli. Pesan, wak beken omong ke Ian, jangan teros kaget mesken.
Iya, jangan coli terus ya, kaget mesken tuh apa cok?
With this banning pattern from AP Brand, maybe they go Guinevere as their third ban, but they go Minotaur, obviously. We already talked about that. So there are 2 targets here for AP Brand. Either they want to go Ruby or Guinevere as their first pick. Right? So those are potential heroes for AP Brand. And whatever is left in the 2 heroes that we've mentioned, that will go in the favor of Arkeoshi.
Paramis banned by AP Brand, oke?
They have a set plan.
10.000 dari Al Azhar. Pesan RRQ final auto juara empel S13.
I agree with you actually.
Udahlah, kosong ngomongin MPL dulu, fokus ke turnamen Rusia ini dulu, cok.
Pesan, halo Bang Ken, salam dari Denpasar.
Halo Denpasar, terima kasih Bli.
Be able to dominate, get those diamond finish they were looking for, and also be able to sustain, but not to mention.
Tadi ya nonton kita berapa tembus berapa guys? Wah, saking fokusnya udah nggak bisa ngelihat gua cok berapa penonton anjing.
Being a wise pickup and a wise ban for the side of RQ Hoshi.
Last match kayak ini, ya. Ini adalah match penentuan untuk menentukan siapa yang akan menang dan siapa yang akan lanjut ke final.
Kapan login Mobile Legend?
Kapan login Mobile Legend? Udah. 55k. Oh, puji Tuhan, nyampe 55.000 ya. Terima kasih ya yang udah nonton di gua ya. Thank you banget.
But they go instantly for the Nolan.
Apa tadi? 55, kapan 60k nih?
Maybe AP Brand just brings up a Clint actually, just so that they can outrange this Nolan. But this is such a strong pick. Now, how do you answer the Nolan? You have to go for the dive, right? For AP Brand. So you need a hero that goes with the Guinevere.
10.000 dari Wal pacarnya Retno. Pesan, Retno suka BGT BG Ken nonton BG Ken live, katanya lucu wak.
Terima kasih Retno. Retno mau tukeran WhatsApp kah?
10.000 dari Amar Safitri. Pesan, Bang bikin konten puasa lagi pas bulan Ramadan, salam dari Kabupaten Barito Selatan.
Halo Barito Selatan.
11.000 dari Celah. Pesan, beken sampein ke Idam Ilofu sayang besok jegen lupa kencanya ya.
Ya, Idam katanya I love you ya. Besok jangan lupa kencan, oke? Hati-hati di EW ya Idam ya. Faramisnya pakai aja, mana bisa Faramisnya di ban itu sama si AP Brand. Wah, RRQ mesti hati-hati, ini ada Nana cok. Nana itu bisa mengcounter Nathan loh guys, hati-hati coba sekali lagi.
10.000 dari Adi Supras. Pesan, Bang bilangin temenku MASKOYOR jangan COKLI terus.
Mas Koyor jangan coli terus ya. Titit kau putus anjing. Guys udah mau mulai, suaranya kita offin dulu ya, suara gamenya ya.
Dari Reza, pesan, Bang doain istri aku hamil ya hehe biar mirip kayak Bang Beketot.
Ya, semoga istrinya hamil ya. Terus mirip sama gua. Anjing kalau kayak gitu istri lu gua yang hamilin bangke kalau mirip gua, cok.
Argo, she might go and ban out the Clint. I think those are the Clint and Harith are the 2 heroes that I'm thinking about. that could be good for AP Brand.
10.000 dari Tony Menawan. Pesan, Bang teriak sekencang-kencangnya pas match mulai biar RR menang.
So that's maybe that's the way for you to take out this Nolan. And usually Nolan players go for Purify.
Bang, lo kok belum tidur? Ya lu lihat sendiri lah, gue lagi ngapain anjing.
And as expected, it's the clean ban for RQ Hoshi. Whereas AP Brand now gonna be looking for your mages to ban. Oh, but of course, you don't want to give the Benedetta anymore after that game for RQ Hoshi.
10.000 dari Yudi Sullivan. Pesan, Bang bilangin ke Elsa Hispania jangan marah-marah ya. I love you kasih cipok.
I love you kasih cipok. Ya Elsa Hispania jangan marah-marah mulu ya. Nih gue cipok nih. Anjing.
10.000 dari Dude Flash. Pesan, OIT salam dari Bogor.
Would be definitely an asset.
Halo Dude Flash, salam dari Bogor. Kita lihat di sini Okta belum memilih hero ya guys ya. Wah, ada Nana, ada Guinevere. Aduh, RRQ mesti muter otak sini buat draft pick ya guys. Hero brand ini buat knock up sih. Gila banget anjing. Gue takutnya RRQ dibikin gak gerak coy ini hero-nya.
10.000 dari Hikari. Pesan, Onic jam berapa broken?
Onic jam berapa namanya? Jam 1 habis ini berarti langsung gas ke Onic ya guys ya. Kita restream juga ya Onic ya. Benar sih. Kalau gua jadi RRQ ya, gua bakal pick Digi sih, Jok. Digi kayaknya such a good pick sih di game ini.
Dari PTPETROSUNS. Pesan, Bang Ken kalau ada mau ekspor dari Timor boleh pesan Bang. Bang bilangin ke Black Quadmu cuma sampai honor.
Iya, Black Quad cuma sampai honor. Nih kenapa soundnya nggak mati anjing?
Because you really need to outrange this Nathan. But
10.000 dari Akan Cool. Pesan, Bang Ken bilangin ke manajer GW.
Bilangin apa tuh?
Obviously that's a wild idea, but the point is you need to outrange this Nathan in lane so that you can win that matchup.
Another one that might slide through is the Brody. I mean, I don't see the Brody being banned out. It could
Serius Onic, yoi, begadang kita ya. Gua lumayan excited juga sih buat nonton Onic karena gini guys. Si Onic ini kan lawan tim Fireflux ya. Fireflux itu bisa pulangin blacklist, Jo. Berarti bukan tim kaleng-kaleng anjing Fireflux itu.
That's gonna be banana. Picking up this CC. If you've seen what he did with the Benedetta in the last game, he was all over the place, creating the opportunity in the XP lane for the difference on the neutral objectives. Either being able to help clear the mid lane, providing an extra memory.
Oh iya, Ian, jangan depo terus, kage miskin. Ian anjing, jangan kau judi, bangkrut, goblok.
I think it's a wise decision. We don't get to see the tricks too often in Game of Futures 2024.
Lupa ada nih, kotak banget ya. Suruh gua ngomong ini itu anjing. Yang dosa gua semua ini, Cok. Bahkan bilangin ke temen gua Yusuf, ini apalagi anjing kok udah ke-skip sih, tai. Kayak saran dari si Bolga Sumatera Utara, makasih. Beli Diamond sekarang bikin ribet, enakan kayak beli yang dulu. Mana ada ribet, justru jauh lebih gampang kalau sekarang. Ayo udah mulai. Well, right guys, welcome back with me Brandon. Ini adalah game penentuan RRQ versus AP Brand match ketiga ya guys ya. Ngakak Bang Biken. Kenapa kamu ngakak Retno?
Did you notice that this probably is one of the most intense drafts that we've seen in this particular tournament, where every single second we keep on guessing and there are the setups.
Bisa yo.
Picking up the Beatrix. As I've mentioned,
guys,
there were only two options.
Kita doain yang terbaik.
You don't want to go Leslie.
Kita doakan yang terbaik supaya RRQ bisa menang ya guys ya. Diberkati selalu RRQ di dunia ini ya guys ya. Let's go. Mbak bilangin ke Budi sempaknya ketinggalan di rumah ya. Budi sempak kau ketinggalan di rumah ya anjing.
100% win against the Nathan, but if you play it correctly, you can. Now it's up to execution for both teams.
And into the land of Don.
Okay, let's go.
all the way out from
Salam dari
the
Palu, Bang
Philippines,
Ken.
the world
Halo, ya
champions
semoga
of
NRQ
the
menang ya.
looking to make a
Thank you,
stand
Oscar.
up against RRQ.
Oke, kita lihat di sini dari AP Brand mereka
All
menggunakan
the way to a game number
Xbox ya guys ya. Brusco di sini akan menggunakan Ruby ya guys ya. Wah, Owigen-nya menggunakan ini guys, Arlote ya guys ya. Ini bakal ngadu nih siapa yang paling licin ya guys ya. Apa mereka ke Jogja belum tahu nih Arya. Belum ada planning sih.
But you kind of have a pseudo Kaja with a much faster cooldown on the ultimate. That's the Arlet. You only have to wait, what, 20 to 25 seconds maximum level to have that final flash. And that will give AP Brand that.
Tutor deketin cewek. Ya lu deketin aja. Yang penting pede ya brother
it's not
ya.
a spell that you actually wanna
Ntar pagi mau akad nikah. Siap. Sukses selalu semoga lancar ya Hendrian ya.
150.000 dari Yungge. Pesan, skin Granger Valentine Bang Ken 2855917379497.
Thank you.
Then they swing this X-Borg.
Ayo, fokus yo.
Argue that X-Borg is strong in the meta game right now just because of the presence of the CC. It actually wins that matchup.
Goblok.
Yeah, we talked about having a possible plan for the banana split, right? Stopping.
Record, udah record ya guys ya. Ayo semangat. Combo bakso urat kita ditunjukkan yang terbaik ya guys ya. Okta di sini pakai Lilia ya guys ya. Kalau saya dari segi grafik sih menurut gue sih ya bagus-bagus saja sih grafik RRQ di game kali ini guys. Mati. Let's go. Let's go. Ayo, konsentrasi. Fokus ke dalam turtle-nya. Aduh, malah iratnya mati anjing. Aduh, yang dapat malah si Kaltizi bangsat.
Lap is in trouble, but already damage has been done. He's actually surviving as the Piranga. It is safe for now.
Asbi, tidur. Jangan nonton di YouTube mulu ya.
So good at playing right now. Even the Arkeoshi, after losing that, they look really good in that team fight. And they really challenge AP Brand to their limits. But in the end, it's only one hero that will be able to snag that last hit on
Lagi meta. Xbox tuh memang lagi meta, Cok. Emang kuat Xbox tuh.
And hey, we're climbing up that ladder. The pressure's only getting higher, and the
Xbox tuh soalnya jatuhnya udah kayak Romer, coy. Dia tuh bisa nebe di depan ya, guys. Ya asal nggak ada yang nge-burst armor dia aja gitu.
This is the last team from the Philippines.
Oke, nice banget. Hampir aja Brusco keangkat ya, guys ya.
The other day, inside of the quarterfinals, an AP
Aduh, jangan gitulah Alan. Gue kasar kali, Cok. Gue tuh orangnya nggak kasar dan gue orangnya nggak toxic. Gue nggak bisa ngomong kayak gitu.
Looking stronger than ever. Both teams currently tied 1-1 on the scoreboard, but AP Brand with that turtle play has a little bit of a slight advantage and a 1,000 gold lead.
Happy birthday, Ricky! Diberkati selalu ya.
This is one of the strengths of the Beatrix, just like the Claude because of the kids they have.
Irat nih, gue lihat-lihat lagi on fire ya buat main Fredrinnya ya guys ya. Bagus banget cow dari tadi dia main Fredrinnya.
For Super Marco to have a much better farm.
Pasti pangeran.
Technically speaking, there's also
Aris jelek cow, Aris jelek.
Double lane because he has the ultimate, so he can traverse from top to mid lane very quickly. But Arkehoshi are thinking we also need farm on Octa, so we're not gonna sack our mid lane just for our gold lane to have a little bit of extra gold.
Yeah, and speaking of having the advantage, the first kill for the side of AP Bryn did go to Flap TZ on this X-Borg in the XP lane. You mentioned it being a great answer over there to Banana, and he's off to a really good start. Irad, though, able to get a kill of his own inside of the jungle, putting him slightly possibly
awas, hati-hati. Waduh, untung masih ada ulti, Cok. Aduh, tetap mati ya Okta ya. Aduh, anjing, Cok. Gak gerak, tai. Aduh, Owigen ya.
Trying to get away,
matiin dong. Anjing digocek-gocek gitu. Mati, why? Mati Owigen-nya. Nice. Wah, tai itu Xbox sampai ke situ anjing.
Oh my god, Flap. What an amazing.
Iya, Jerry, jangan troll mulu kamu ya.
Last insanity and second skill to fire stakes. Still on point.
Bentar ya, yang nyawer gua lagi fokus ke banget
ini. He's the second skill while utilizing the ultimate.
Anjing itu tadi Owigen-nya licin banget bangke, Cok. Kesel gue liatnya anjing. Xbox-nya bisa-bisanya pula sampai ke situ kagak mati lo bangke.
Unbelievable.
Kalian lihat ya guys ya, Xbox-nya 4-0 guys.
Xborg is the way to go.
Definitely the way to go and in control. You're going to see Skylar top side finding Super Marco. That will be the
Pira cantik nian, makin sayang aku. Ya bangsat malah ngebucin tai.
The scoreboard, not trying to give AP Bryn control of the early phase. We know this is pivotal to both sides if they want to be able to win this, is the early game. So far, both teams putting out a great fight. Contest on to the top side, though. Violent Requiem, Special Migration from Kati. Catches Brusco. Few will do the last hit and take
balik
him down.
Balik guys.
In the top side as well.
Balik.
Will disengage.
They got a turtle, so that's good. But however,
iya Wal, tidur ya Wal ya. Tidur, besok kerja buat duit nikah biar bisa ngewe, oke?
Local done ultimate anyways at this point. You're not that scared. And they will try to push.
Weh, hati-hati weh. Waduh, anjing. Aduh, gila ditabrak gitu gimana bisa hidup, kampret. Ini loh guys, ini tuh mesti hati-hati banget ya guys ya. Ditabrak kayak gitu gak bakal bisa hidup coy si Skylarnya anjing. Brusco-nya benar-benar mesti nge-cover secara ekstra sih ini cowok mati nih Brusco-nya.
And Super Marco.
Aduh.
We'll go ahead and take him down and the turret.
Aduh, mulai bau-bau gak sedap nih. Aduh.
Guys,
ini kalian ingat gak sih ini teori kita live streaming ya guys ya. Cici itu akan di counter oleh Xbox guys. Cici itu gak bisa lawan Xbox ya guys ya. Gue sering bilang gitu guys di live streaming kita. Coko lagi push rank ya guys ya. Bener-bener gak bisa anjing.
Threshold or
suruh Nanjar balikin duit. Ya Nanjar, kamu kalau utang dibalikin ya Nanjar ya anjing. Makanya di sini Banana pasti susah cok buat lawan si Flappy Bird ini guys.
Difficult to deal with. They want to go for Flap, but can they take the export this time? No.
Ooh, I mean, Flap
mirip Xbox lu bang.
He's looking for it. He's gunning
karena mau gimana pun Xbox itu pasti menang guys. Pasti menang dia lawan Cici. Cici gak bisa lawan Xbox anjing.
Super Marco will be able to claim a turret.
Bisa bang, Cici lawan Xbox tapi harus bikin pistol langsung. Gak bakal bisa anjing. Mau dia bikin pistol juga gak bakal tembus guys. Maksudnya kalah loh dengan lifestyle-nya si Xbox loh.
But we always have to talk about the late game because this is still Nathan. Nathan is Nathan. End of the day, if he survives,
gila duit si Flappy Bird 5.900, duit Banana 4.400 guys. Skylar sama si Beatrixnya beda 1.000 ya guys ya.
Nathan late game is actually pretty good.
Anjing untuk Skylar responnya kayak orang gila guys. Kalau gua pasti udah keangkat itu anjing.
Is to just overload with a lot of crowd control, like a lot of crowd control sources, mini crowd control. Sources.
Bisa bang, tapi harus ngebelakangin Xbox-nya. Iya, tapi itu susah cok. Orang jago tuh gak bisa digituin guys kadang-kadang guys. Saya selalu pakai. Terima kasih Bang Jo.
That committing a purify for one spell, you'll always have to think about that. Should I commit for the purify just to get out, or should I wait for the big ticket?
Aduh, hilang lagi, cok.
Big things. Final slash in the mid lane. Few will find Brusco. Good assist over there from Ogwin. Super Marco will claim the flat.
Tuh, kalian lihat ketika armor udah pecah pun Banana nggak bisa majuin Xbox-nya, guys.
On the bot side, we'll go ahead and claim a turret for the side of RQ Hoshi to try and catch up.
Xbox itu keras banget anjing, cok. Bener-bener keras banget itu.
He's just activated in this game. Really good calculations.
Sejujurnya Xbox itu paling kalah ya lawannya D-Rod ya guys ya. Coba D-Rod kok jelek cok kalau menurut gua. Di team fight itu jelek tai kalau D-Rod.
He didn't have the immortality then and he was already a problem. What more?
Bingung juga ya, apa ya fighternya benar-benar pure menang lawan Xbox gitu.
He's gonna be zoning them out and the positioning was just so perfect. The way that he maneuvers with the footwork on this
Xbox. 500.000 dari El Kantor Bola.
Reach to the backlines like maximum from his fire missiles. It's really on point with this Xbox now.
Yeah, and AP Bryn is definitely leaning
on his rotation. Ini dia! Let's go! Ratain dong! Let's go!
In the mid lane for AP Bryn.
Dapat Beatrix si anjing. Aduh ngentot Flappy Bird-nya, cok. Guys. Yang di tengah, ayo guys, ratain Banana. Banana kejar OWG-nya, nice. Ayo, cok. Wah, balik nih keadaannya, cok. Let's go. Anjing, keren banget, bangsat. Wah, gila, cok. 1 kali monteknya dari Brusco mengubah segalanya, bangke. Let's go.
but I don't know if they can really contest this Lord just yet. They may want to kind of wait
Bagwas
it out.
sama Nunu anniversary 31 bulan ucapin dong
But
ya.
they are off to a really good
Selamat
start.
anniversary ya
Still,
Grace
I would
Dara
say,
dan
considering
Nunu
a
ya.
stalemate between both sides.
Yeah.
It's still
Wah tapi
anybody's
RRQ gak bisa
game,
dapetin Lord sih, masih
but
belum bisa
some great
dapetin Lord sih
execution
ini
from
guys.
both teams.
And great execution from Brusco this time with the conceal flicker play. Really surprising AP Bren really off guard and don't run Wolf King.
Gila tadi KLZ itu udah mau mati guys. Sampai gak jadi mati anjing. Mekaniknya gila banget cok KLZ itu guys. Udah di titik darah penghabisan pun dia masih bisa ngelawan tai, bisa gitu ya. Waduh ada Immortal lagi Flappy Bird-nya anjing, susah sih ini.
Fighting their hearts out, trying to claim a spot inside of the grand finals. AP Bren currently holding that title as the world champions.
Aduh, ayo guys, fokus guys, fokus guys.
Winning M5 RRQ Hoshi.
Fokus guys, come on.
With some new additions to the team, ready to take the fight and earn that title. Down to the wire, best of 3, game number 3. One team will be sent home today as we are now crossing that 11-minute mark, and both teams getting ready
Sambil
to fight
merepet
out.
apa itu?
Great minion wave control from RRQ Hoshi. There's a slow push in the bottom lane, and then they cleared out up top. So they actually have the advantage now in this Lord dance.
Yeah, and there goes the advantage they're looking for. Ogwin rushes in. We'll be able to get out with the mobility provided over there from this R-Lot. TZ, though, getting to the front line, being a little bit of a nuisance. Dealing a lot of damage on the chase on a Brusco commits to it.
Anjing Xbox yang gak keurus tai. Iratnya juga lagi fokus banget ke Lord. Lordnya kalau
space for migration to close the distance, gets the retribution. Super Marco takes down Irad. The Lord goes to AP Bren.
Oh man, never ever sleep on an X-Borg. Like Brusco overstayed in front of the X-Borg, and at this point with Flap being 7-0-2, of course he's gonna deal the damage, and they really got cooked by this X-Borg. Brute Force Breastplate as well as Borax, and then Radiant Armor. Now he has got staying power up against Skylar as well as Octa. This
gila. Nananya juga belum ada mati sama sekali anjing.
At this point, 12 minutes in, 9.2k. Compared to the 6.7k. That's how massive the advantage here is for Flap. And he was definitely the reason why AP Bren recovered.
Skylar, hati-hati ya, mas skillnya Nana ya, Cok.
By his fellow Filipino Flap TZ.
Gila, Flappy Bird-nya nggak kesentuh, bangsat.
Now able to claim the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. Looks like they're going in for a little bit more, though, on the top side. Now leading by a lot of turrets, and also ahead, like you mentioned, by gold. Now, RQ Hoshi
bisa dong
forced to be a little bit
menang.
more defensive now.
Ayolah.
Definitely say AP Bren is in control of the tempo of this game, but the later this
Aduh,
goes,
please.
the more
Dapat
of a
satu
stalemate it
momen
will
aja,
be, and
Cok.
that's
Bisa
what
ngeratain
RQ Hoshi's
semuanya,
gonna bank on.
anjing.
They're waiting for AP
Cuma
Bren
tinggal
to
butuh
make a
satu
slight
kemenangan
mistake,
lagi,
maybe somebody to
bangke.
overextend, to be able to turn this around, and they're definitely a team that can rise up to the occasion. Now, so far with this lead in favor for AP Bren, they're going to have to kind of be patient, wait it out for this next objective. I mean, they do have some great mobility on their side, and Flap TZ to be a little bit of that frontline presence they're looking for, and RQ Hoshi having a really hard time finding an answer to him. I mean, the man has not died yet. He's 7-0-2. Even when the full team commits on him, not only does he sustain himself, but he finds a way to get a kill alongside it.
Anjing, main Xbox di posisi udah kayak begini nih enak banget sih guys. Tai banget itu, Cok. Bener-bener tai banget ini posisinya guys.
RQ Hoshi, there has to be some sort of punish. Maybe Skylar commits actually at the ultimate just to take out of Flap TZ and just put AP Bren in an awkward spot. But then again, Skylar is kind of scared that there could be an initiation coming up from Ogwin as well as Kyle. So that's also a problem that he has to take care of. But the main problem now, definitely for RQ Hoshi, is Flap. It's a canon event, again, for AP Bren.
Yeah, and you're looking at them getting ready, starting to go ahead and take control of these lanes, prepping for this next Lord to spawn in. And RQ Hoshi, looks like they may actually try and go in for the contest. I mean, they are down in terms of economy, but the later this game goes, everybody's going to be getting closer and closer to that late build. You're seeing the Divine Glaive picked up from Skylar. Speaking about late game items, we'll have that magic pin.
Jangan banyak berharap bang, biar gak kecewa. Enggak sih, gue berharap banget sini.
And AP Bren will pull the aggro.
Gue berharap banget sini, tinggal satu langkah lagi soalnya.
Looks like they will. They are going to go in for the contest.
Xbox-nya pecah armor,
The
Cok.
commitment to Flap, they forced the ultimate already.
Anjing,
Yeah, he is very
anjing.
low. Needs to get out of there. We talked about somebody
Aduh,
needing
gak
to burst him
dapet
down.
lagi
We're gonna try to
Xbox-nya
pick up my Supermarket, getting ready to take this
ngentit.
fight into the Lord pit.
Pecah
Nobody's
di
falling
mortalnya
yet.
aja
Lord
susah,
has increased the
tai
HP.
lah.
Kyle Teasy gonna go ahead and pull it away.
Tapi udah gak ada
Looking
flicker
to
itu
reset
ya,
for,
udah gak ada flicker itu.
some regen on the Lord, trying to delay and do this Lord dance. Some smart move from the side of AP Bren. They know they want to bait out some of the utility from the side of RQ Hoshi. Wait for an ultimate to proc that they can profit on.
Aduh
to be
gila,
able to
Xbox
engage.
yang ngeselin banget guys, anjing.
Watch out for AP Bren's rotation with Super Marco as well as Ogwin.
Itu Beatrix sama si Arnoldnya udah mau konsil itu. Udah mau konsil itu mereka berdua itu. Aduh ngeri ini gue nih.
Yeah, definitely got to be careful. AP Bren still in position to take this. Very patient, and I got to give credit to both sides on how they are waiting for the other side to make a mistake. But these are very high IQ plays. They're just waiting. This is the Lord dance we've been talking about that has been in the Land of Dawn for ages, especially on this level of competition. The Philippines and Indonesia, two of the most competitive regions in MOBB history. Now fighting it out, raising those banners high. Flat Teasy though.
Aduh, keangkat lagi. Aduh, Irat mati ya.
May come out. You're going to see few find a kill though. Sessan Irat, that is huge. Is now RRQ Hoshi does not have the retribution.
And when we talked about the position 1 and position 5 for AP Bren, the 1-5 punch from the long bush of AP Bren, it paid off. They waited for 2 minutes. But because of their patience, they took out Iran with that combo.
Aduh, satu hit
now,
lagi, Cok.
massive advantage
Kejar
for
banana,
AP Bren.
kejar banana.
He knows he has the retribution. He wants to
Anjing.
takes him down. 2 members falling for RRQ Hoshi. Still looking at a 5-man stack. Out from the Philippines, AP Bren still in control of this neutral objective, and it looks like they are going in for the take. Ogwin will take down Octa. Super Marco finds Brusco, Skylar, and Irad wondering where did he go wrong. Now need to get out of there, but AP Bren on the chase for the kill. Few takes down Skylar, and another will fall. And Super Marco with the mega kill will go ahead and shut down Irad. A full wipeout against RRQ Hoshi.
They can't go straight for the juggler this time. They have Beatrix, one of the fastest siegers out there, and there's only Banana that can defend this. Banana going in and chasing Kyle Teasy, trying to go for the hero plays, but unfortunately wasn't successful. And now he's taken out. That should be it. AP Bren will take this series for sure.
Yeah, able to claim this game and keep the Philippines inside of Game of Futures 2024 as they move on as the first seat in the grand finals.
What a Lord Dance. It was definitely a variation of, this is definitely a different variation of a Lord Dance, right? You can see that the side of AP Bren parked both Super Marco as well as Ogwin in that long bush. And when I'm talking about the long bush, it was the bush nearest to the bottom lane. So it was that very long curve. They waited in the bush for more than 2 minutes. And they were just waiting for an opportunity. When there was an initiation coming out from the Frederick, because what they do is like they allow like the Guinevere to chunk the Lord down. So somebody has to check that Lord. Somebody has to check the health of the Lord. When Irad showed himself, and Brusco was already mind sweeping. Actually, he was looking for someone from the L bush as well as the newest the new bush, and he didn't find any. Irad felt comfortable putting himself in front of the Lord.
Graham Nation Pinto, stop apa itu?
Dividends. All they had to do was really pop the ultimate onto Irad, and Irad was gone, just like that. And AP Bren played that Lord Dance in a different manner, but perfectly in that manner.
Yes, flawless execution. Both sides putting on an amazing show. But like we said in the beginning, only one team will be able to move forward. And that'll be the first team out from Indonesia.
Iren, jangan tidur mulu ya, kata Beben.
Then we will be seeing their game up next. AP Bren able to move on forward. The first team to make it into the grand finals. And I would definitely say that was Flat Teasy's game. He talked about him having an answer over there to Banana.
Gila guys. Dia acak-acak Xbox sih, tapi itu memang bener,
I'll
Cok.
just counter it and do it a little bit better on the rotation.
Gak lain, gak bukan
And he's
itu
able to
kena
pull it off.
acak-acak
Not only
Xbox
was he
anjing itu.
frontlining majority of the damage, but look at him. Getting to the back line, pressuring.
Bukan
the
hero
side
lain,
of
itu yang acak-acak
Roshi from
Xbox
taking
ya,
these
guys, ya.
objectives, creating the opportunity for AP Bryn to have the advantage, which led overall with them winning this series.
Well, this was the play from Banana. Tried to go for Kyle, but Kyle's just baited him out easily. And Kyle TZ knew the limits of his hero. There's no one to damage him because they already zoned out Skylar. So when Brusco shows himself here, Kyle TZ just jumps there, pops the Requiem, and then is still in retry range. Well, he didn't have the retribution, but that's the point, right? They're still in range to take that Lord. And then they found Skylar just trying his best, desperately to go for a pick-off or maybe last hit the Lord or something. Again, another hero play. So every time that there's a hero play, there's an easy punish coming out from RQ Hoshi. And if you're a Filipino, you can hear Flap, I'm sure. He says,
Yeah, you
I
can
love
definitely
you.
tell.
Yeah, he
They
can
are
really
super
tell.
hyped.
Tai lah.
He said, I love you. 100%. That's what he said.
Guys, sebentar, gue mau ganti thumbnail dulu.
Out there in the Philippines for AP Bryn right now, as they
sure.
put on a show, able to close out the series.
Game
And there it
1
is!
pakai Cici
The man
kalah,
with the
game
plan,
3 pakai
stepping
Cici
into the
kalah ya
zone
guys ya.
and doing his thing.
MVP-nya
Flat
adalah
easy.
Flappy Bird dengan
Well-deserved
Xbox.
MVP.
Sedih guys.
Oh, yeah. I think that deserves no explanation. The impact that he had in that game from the early stages.
Bentar ya, gue ganti thumbnailnya dulu guys.
9 minutes. The reason why Brand Esports were winning in first 9 minutes of the game, majority is because of how Flap positioned himself and how he poked his enemies so well.
Oh ya,
The
yung...
first Lord,
Bentar ya.
Was it the second Lord? But there was a Lord where Brusco... Eventually, Arkeoshi already found a triple jump with Brusco, but on the reset of the fight, what happened was they overstayed.
Padahal gue udah berharap banget Taicho bisa masuk final RRQ-nya anjing.
Don't really feel the damage of the expert until it's far too late when he already.
Kita lanjut ke Onic lawan Flux ya guys ya.
And as we are now panning over.
Kita lanjut ya.
You're looking at both teams fighting it out. That was RQ Hoshi. Not able to claim game 3, but they put on a good fight, right? They lost game 1. They tried to pull out the Layla, the $1 million Layla that we seen yesterday, able to kind
Tapi mau gimana pun,
the other day claiming victory.
mau gimana pun udah nice try lah ya guys ya.
Not the same story going up against the world champions AP Bryn. It looked like they kind of planned for it, and they executed pretty well. Definitely over pressuring them, running that Ruby, denying the
mau gimana pun itu RRQ lawan Raja Terakhir sih guys. Mau gimana cok anjing.
And then game number 2, AP Bryn not able to rise to the occasion, and RQ Hoshi.
Let's go, Harapan Terakhir Indonesia.
A little bit more comfortable. Banana running the Benedetta, able to rotate around.
Oke, judul udah gua ubah.
Series, but in game number 3, Flat Teasy. I don't know what they said to him in the locker room, but it's working. Keep on doing it. And I expect some great things in the grand finals. They will move on forward, shutting down RQ Hoshi with an amazing game.
There was that factor of the...
Ya. Nggak apa-apa. Namanya juga roster baru ya guys ya.
You probably forget about what the strength of the Beatrix is because of how much nerf there was on that hero, and it's no longer the hero that you choose in the metagame, and for good reasons, right? But you definitely forget the possible combos, right, that you can get out of the Beatrix. Any reliable stun in combination with the Bennett's Rage as well as the Nibiru's Passion shreds through. And with the addition of the Nana, now if you combine those two heroes together, there's just explosions all over. So you saw that even a Ruby that's very tanky, even a Fredrin cannot last with just one Bennett's Rage coming out from the Beatrix. And that was started with the Final Slash and sometimes the jumps coming out from Kyle TZ, followed up by the ultimate of the Nana. It's just, there's no staying power that can last through that kind of combination.
Yeah, and I mean, we were looking at Ogwin just being more of the utility role. over there for this R-Lot, right? We mentioned how it was such a great synergized composition inside
Mana
of
si Alti Dilan Pirades stop nonton bokep.
I mean, I guess technically the export
Dilan
too. I mean,
Pirades stop nonton bokep. Di sini juga gak sih guys?
Atau
beda channel ya?
And that really worked into his favor that AP Bren leaned on to be able to get the opportunity to take the advantage.
Aduh, cocok anjing. Tadi terakhir sedih juga sih, iratnya mati soalnya.
Have such a great game. He held Banana inside the XP lane. Definitely one of the hardest XP laners we've seen so far in Game of Futures to keep at bay. And they found a way around it. Sure, if they're running ranked games out there in the Philippines and Indonesia, we're going to be seeing a lot of counters possibly to the CC now with the X-Borg matchup in the XP lane. This is why I love seeing these two regions fight it out. Because like I said, I'm always taking notes and we're learning things as we progress as casters. I'm sure there's players out there watching and taking notes as well. And hey, these teams are definitely coming for a reason to show out and represent and hold those banners high for their region. We still have one more team over there for Indonesia, though. We will be seeing them up next. It will be an interesting game. It is going to be Onic stepping into the mix, and they'll be going up against the team that took down Blacklist, the Philippines, yesterday in the quarterfinals.
Wow, I'm so excited about this because obviously we want to see Onic play, but at the same time, I think that beat Blacklist going up against the runners-up of M5 with a playstyle that is, something that you really don't expect. I'm excited to see Rosa as well as Alien, TNZ being on fire, going up against Kyrie. That is going to be a treat for sure.
Yeah, definitely going to be a treat. And honestly, I mean, that's big over there for Turkey, right? I mean, to be able to take down one of the most decorated teams out there in the Philippines and now having a shot to take one of the most decorated teams out in Indonesia, that's a lot of pressure on the line over there for Flux Esports, but they've been doing so well so far in Game of Futures 2024. Their rotations, their execution, Rosa dominating in the mid lane, some big setups over there from Apex 47 has been a problem. But, it is Indonesia. Like I said, one of the top regions in Mobile Legends Bang Bang, still holding that banner high, and they got to represent, right? I mean, they just... One of their only teams.
Saatnya kita mendukung Onic ya sekarang ya guys. Tapi by the way, RRQ masih ada satu match lagi ya guys ya. RRQ masih ada satu match lagi.
Indonesia will be completely
yaitu untuk mendapatkan juara 3 ya guys ya. RRQ masih ada satu match lagi untuk mendapatkan juara 3. Jadi kalau siapapun yang kalah antara Onic ataupun Flux, itu nanti bakal ketemu RRQ untuk memperebutkan juara 3 guys.
I don't know the answer yet, especially because you kind of scared because this is still Onic. Right? They're still a second runners up of M5. They're still very strong.
Satu match yang gak terlalu penting ya. Udahlah guys, namanya udah kalah, terima aja lah. Yang penting tetap memberikan yang terbaik. Karena kalau misalnya RRQ bisa dapat juara 3 kan masih lumayan ya, dapat duit juga gitu loh.
After seeing what Flux is able to do in the semi-finals or the quarterfinals, number 2, you're scared about their potential as a team, right? You really have to respect them. So that's really, really exciting.
And they didn't just beat Blacklist. It was a 2-0 sweep.
That's right.
Which is a little bit more challenging. So far, Flux Esports, they're sitting undefeated inside of Game of Futures. When you're looking at Onic, it is actually, no, they did get defeated. They lost the game yesterday over to RCC out from Russia. In game number 2, it was a little bit of a miscalculated lore play, which ended up being stealed from the side of RCC to be able to claim that victory in a turnaround at that 19-minute mark. But I will say,
baru 3 bulan bareng bang, udah GGS.
Now,
tapi ya mau gimana pun RRQ udah keren lah. Menurut gua mereka bisa dapat 1 poin dari AP Brand aja, menurut gua itu udah keren banget sih. Cuma sayang aja game yang ketiganya RRQ itu gak punya jawaban untuk meng-counter Xbox gitu sih kalau menurut gua.
Their meta's evolving, their teams are getting better. And they're providing a decent competition to some of the more prominent regions for the side of MLBB, especially Indonesia and the Philippines. But you mentioned Onic. I mean, they're a stacked team. I mean, they've got Kyrie dominating. You've got Keyboy representing that Roam position. It's definitely going to be a problem. Now, I will say, though, for Onic, just a little bit of a recap for those who are just now jumping into the show. They were able to take down Team Flash. They beat them 2-0. And then they also went up against Burnex Flash. So I'd say they beat the Flash brothers. Able to take them down. They moved on forward. They went up against RCC.
Sampai di war terakhir pun pokoknya RRQ gak punya jawaban buat Xbox ya tadi guys ya. Pinter banget anjing mereka pick Xbox itu AP
Definitely have some more gameplay in store. I can't wait to see how they do head to head up against Fireflux Esports.
Yeah.
In a world that seeks a balance between metaverses and healthy lifestyle, video games and traditional sport, live shows and web entertainment, we found the only way to harmony. Introducing a new era in the realm of sports, Phygital, a revolutionary fusion of the physical and digital worlds. This is an unparalleled mix of the most exhilarating and dynamic youth sports disciplines, all integrated with popular video games and cutting-edge technological devices. This unique sports format is accessible to all. Anyone can participate in Phygital competitions. Any sport has the potential to evolve into a Phygital experience. Football, basketball, hockey, racing, martial arts, shooters, and many other sports have successfully adapted to the new reality. The 2024 Games of the Future is a global multi-sport event that represents the pinnacle of Phygital sports worldwide. The event is attended by best clubs and teams, bringing together 2,000 participants from over 100 countries. It marks the beginning of a series of top Phygital tournaments that will take place annually worldwide. The current official program of Games of the Future includes 21 innovative disciplines. They are classified into 5 groups, which we refer to as challenges: sports, technology, speed, tactics, and strategies, openness, show, fun, and healthy lifestyle. Coming our way is the exciting Phygital era. So stay tuned, join our global Phygital community, and come over to the upcoming Games of the Future. Emerge as winners and heroes of the new era. Games of the Future. Made for young generations.
Game of Future, made
and
of
we are
young
back
generation.
After that brief intermission, some crazy gameplay went down in the first series for today in the semifinals of the Game of Future 2024.
Request review.
RRQ Hoshi out from Indonesia falling to the last team from the Philippines, the world champions, claiming victory in M5, now claiming victory again.
Tapi nyebelin ya, kenapa sih RRQ harus ketemu AP Brand anjing? Kesel banget gue tay. Harus banget ketemu AP Brandnya di semifinal ya guys ya. Bisa pula satu grup anjing.
Best of 3 and they will be able to fight it out to claim that last spot in the grand finals. Who will be able to move on forward? Will it be Onic? Will it be Fireflux Esports? Time will tell.
Well, this is going to be an entirely different dynamic from what we saw in our first series, right? So there's a lot of, I would say there's a lot of action and there's a big emphasis on the laning matchups for game number 1, series number 1. But I think in this particular series, for Fireflux going up against Onic, it's more of a teamfight base. Well, at least on the side of Fireflux. It's what I noticed about the way they're drafting. It's almost as if they want to really focus on overall teamfight-oriented lineup. It's more of a 5v5, an aggressive version of Ube, as I would call it from before. Now, if you're looking at Onic, this is a team where you really don't know what they're going to be picking up. They're just really, really crazy about their picks. I mean, you know the general, 6 heroes that they'll pick per role, but you don't really know which one is which. And there will be a lot of flexible pickups. So, well, it was evident in series number 1 where there are also like flex picks, but I think even more so for Onic, that's just how they operate. They're gonna be picking up Arlot, which is a flex. They're gonna be picking up Ruby for sure, which is either EXP or going to be the Rome. They're the team that picks up Kadira because you can pick Kadira in positions 4 and 5. So there's a lot of like flexibility that you can expect from Onic.
Yeah, definitely a lot of flexibility. And, you know, we kind of talked about the path of Onic so far inside of Game of Futures 2024, all the way from group stage until now. Now taking a look at Fireflux Esports and their journey. So they actually did take a loss, a correction on that. They lost to Blacklist in game number 1 for their group phase. Yeah. It was 2-0 sweep. They decided to go in for the double mage. They ran in for the Lunox and the Aurora combination. They had the carry inside of the gold lane and the Barats in the jungle. Ruby walking in that roam position. It didn't really work in their favor, though, or actually walking in the XP lane position. You got to see Blacklist pretty much dominate them there. It was a decent match, still 20-minute game. I would say it was a little on the later side of things. And then game number 2, you got to see Blacklist pretty much just breeze through them with a 12-minute finish. But they had a really good story build-up, right? They went from there. They had to go fight it in the losers bracket over there for group stage. They went up against Burnix Flash. Took him down 2-0. Great gameplay. They didn't go for the double mage meta. They went in for the Nana. Had a couple of those staple picks, such as that Claude, that Exborg, that Minotaur. And they were able to push through with both 14-minute games, making them be able to sit inside of the playoffs, getting the seeding there.
Bentar guys.
To kind of fight it out.
Biasa lagi.
Nightmare. They're able to shut him down 2-0.
Lagi ngeliat Binance dulu
another sweep on top of
sebentar.
that, just stacking up these victories. Revenge to Blacklist, taking them down first inside of group stage for Game of Futures 2024, getting their sweet revenge over there inside of the quarterfinals, able to shut them out with a 2-0 sweep. And now, hey, here we are, another shot to be able to earn that spot into the grand finals today. And they're definitely showcasing their mastery so far and how much they've improved this year alone.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at Fireflux, they have a set style of play, which is they really want to rely on their 4 protect 1, meaning to say like they really want to put all of their basket in this gold laner, then slowly build up from there, like group up and then slowly just farm up on their gold laner and then eventually take over the late game. But they have a little bit
Kecewa
of
apapun cuy atau
sometimes they utilize their jungler in an aggressive manner. Sometimes they go for like Guinevere that can set up plays. Sometimes they go Martis Nolan, which allows them to have a faster pace at approaching the matches. So they have that kind of play with their 4 protect 1 strategy. And I'm saying this because that is definitely something that we have to be looking for in this matchup. What will be the gold lane versus gold lane matchup with Onic being in there? Knowing Onic, they like to play weird gold laners like Harith. Well, if you think about it, Harith is no longer weird because of how much they picked it up. So those kinds of heroes where there's no actual counter to the laning stage to it, like your Nathan as well as your Harith, something that we can expect from Onic. Whereas for side of Fireflux, they might just go for the typical route of your classic 4 protect 1 marksman, like the Claude, for example, or maybe eventually a carry. But those heroes that generally have a smooth transition from the mid game to the late game and have a lot of impact in those critical Lord fights. So if there's anything that we have to be looking out for is how these two teams.
Ya, dukung Onic. Guys, Onic di channel ini kan ya?
I definitely agree with you on that. I mean,
gua nggak perlu ubah channel kan ya? Sebentar, gua cekin dulu ya guys ya.
Like you mentioned, they're a team that goes more staple choices. They go for more of just common trend meta across the board. Like you can pretty much predict the way their draft is going to go. Whereas I feel like Onic is definitely a little bit more creative. A little bit more three-dimensional when it comes to drafting, being able to pull off things like the gold lane. Not really something we've seen the side of Fireflux Esports take the risk on.
Nggak harus ubah channel
Fireflux
sih.
Esports able to take down Blacklist, one of the most decorated teams inside the Philippines. As you are looking at their roster, Rosa dominating so far inside of that mid lane position. Alien coming alive from the XP. Sunshine for the gold lane. Apex
Sunshine!
with the big sets as their Roamer and TNZ. Definitely dominating as well, having a really good game in the jungle. Straight out of Turkey, too. Really excited to see this region compete today. They've been performing so well in the Game of Futures 2024.
4 picks for the Claude. They are very successful with it. That's at least in the playoffs, we've seen 3 Claude pickups from Fireflux Esports. All of them W's, and that's also very true for the Exborg. So, like we mentioned, the 4 protect 1 kind of marksman choices will be Fireflux's priority, and that's something that you should be looking at if you're Onic. I gotta say though, one player that I'm very excited to see is Rosa. And this will not be the first time that I will be saying that I'm a fan, that Rosa actually converted me into a fan back in M4 because of how well he plays and how reminiscent he is of how Haji plays from before.
Bentar ya guys ya, lagi trading guys,
now, he might have oversped compared to Haji, but man, I love how Rosa is playing.
Yeah, and speaking of players, now taking a look at Onic, the last team standing from Indonesia with one of the most decorated teams and flashiest players, Kyrie, inside of the jungle. The man can do it all. Boots in the XP lane as well. You are looking at Sands running in that mid lane, and Keyboy. Let's not even get started on the sets that you see him do in the Land of Dawn. And then side by side with our gold laner himself, Albert in the building.
Yeah, you can see that there's a lot of like similarities in some of their players, particularly from Apex and Keyboy. The way that they're playing, they really are on point when it comes to their team fight initiations. But the crucial player now that you have to talk about for Onic is, interestingly, Albert this time. Because I'm not entirely sure if Albert is the choice because they have CW. I believe he's in the same venue anyway, so they can utilize him. And we will yet to see who will be the choice for the gold lane. Well, obviously, Albert being in here means that he might play for the first game, to the very least for Onic. And the heroes that you look for when you see Albert is Harith. But of course, the Claude is also a hero that that he also plays a lot, so that could be a potential here for Onic.
And you make a good point. I mean, they do have CW sitting on the bench ready to jump into Land of Dawn and wreak some havoc over there in the gold lane. He is currently on backup in case he is needed, and definitely somebody to watch out for. I wouldn't even consider him a bench player with his execution and how well he plays in that gold lane. I mean, he's just on a little extended vacation right now. He's just letting them play it out, just relaxing. I mean, he trusts in
Mana nih gak mulai-mulai.
Done. Definitely waiting for the opportunity to step into the occasion, though. But you are going to see Albert kind of taking that position for now. Now, you mentioned Rosa converting you in M4. I definitely agree with you. It's been a really strong player so far in Game of Futures 2024. Some of the pickups that we got to see on Rosa. We got to see the Vexana come out. We got to see the Novaria get slotted in as well. Two kind of staple mages. We also got to see, and these are mages that kind of play from afar, right? I mean, I guess you could say the Faramis can play up close, but usually he's just trying to stay around the team and provide that utility. The Novaria is another utility pickup, right? Play from afar, get the Astro Echo out, provide the slow, and maybe get that Astro Meteor out or a possible snipe for a pickoff. But the thing about Rosa is Rosa switches it up. He does not only play marksmen from afar, but he knows personal, and we got to see that when they were going up against Blacklist International. He pulled out the Valentina, he pulled out the Lilia, and he performed.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. He's going to be playing up against one player that has been dubbed by numerous other legendary players as a genius in the mid lane. And in general, as a player. That's Sans. It's a tall task to go up against Sans. And you would think that Sans has already reached his peak, but no. Back in M5, we know for sure that if there's someone that we can isolate for Onic that's performing consistently at the top level, that's always Sans. The way that he plays this mid lane from a variety, a spectrum of playstyle, actually. He can play safe, he can play passive in the backlines, he can play aggressive, he can play assassin mages, he can play almost any kind of play from a mage at a high level. And he's going up against Rosa. I think this might be one of the first, if not the first time that these two will meet. And
tuh guys, ada yang kena tipu guys katanya guys. Tadi ada yang minta kirim skin ya, gue lupa.
One of the legendary players who's
ntar ya, gue cari dulu ya.
Genius at the mid lane. That's going to be Sans versus Rosa. That is a matchup that I'm very excited to see.
A tall task, as you stated, but definitely Rosa is one of those players who can rise to the occasion and shock the world. And I'm right there with you. I want to see how this kind of plays out. Will Rosa be able to kind of have the advantage over Sans? Like you said, a lot of players kind of put him on that podium or that pedestal above them with how well he usually performs. Now, another player to kind of keep a close eye on, though, over there for the side of Onic is Boots, right? He's been explosive.
Siapa tadi yang nitip?
We've been seeing him create the opportunity, kind of similar to Banana, being able to split push, always rotating around the map.
Wah, ini nyarinya susah banget anjing, banyak bener yang nyawer hari ini, Cok.
The most profit that he gets off of so far for Game of Futures 2024 is his Lapu. It has been a problem, and I really want to see if they're going to let it walk. Are they going to be able to kind of keep up with it? Because usually when he picks up that Lapu, it's almost a guaranteed win.
Yeah. You can see that at least for Onic, right? It's a 90-minute win with the Lapu-Lapu up against RCC, and then the group stages, yeah, you did play a lot. Boots has recovered. I mean, there was a lot of like criticism towards Boots during M5, especially in the championship. I was able to talk to many players, and there was so many content that went around the globe, essentially. You know, putting a lot of criticism on towards what Boots was able to do, and even him, you know, he had a podcast with Edward, if I'm not mistaken, 1v1, where he admitted that there was a little bit of problem on his side when it comes to performing. But right now in Games of the Future, I gotta say that that's already erased. I don't think that it is anymore a factor. I think that he's playing so well. Apart from that one loss that they've had against
Weh, ini kapan mulainya sih? Kok gak mulai-mulai, guys?
Really came to a shock to almost everyone watching. Everybody from Onic is just on point this time. They woke up and they're just really pulling their weight. Nobody is a dead weight on the side of Onic, I would say.
Kenapa gak mulai-mulai ya?
I will say, honestly, even in the game that they lost against RCC, they were winning majority of the game. I mean, they took most of the neutral objectives. They led in the early phase, the mid phase. It was literally down to just one misplay on a Lord that costed them that, or they would have been able to take that one as well. So I would say definitely having to be able to close it out when they have that massive advantage kind of is what they struggled on, at least in the last series that we've seen them play in up against RCC out from Russia. Flux Esports, though, I mean, they're a team that knows how to take it up close and personal. Speaking of them, there it goes, Rosa. You talked about it, definitely warmed your heart since seeing him in M4.
Yes, sir.
TNZ over there, definitely being a key role into this team. They're being bad in the building as well. Apex 47, definitely having those sets that the team is looking for. Hotter than ever as that fire burns behind them. Leading the banners out from Turkey. Will they be able to rise to the occasion? This may be their hardest challenge yet. They were able to shut down Blacklist, shut down one of the most decorated teams out from the Philippines. Now, going up against the most decorated team, or one of the most decorated teams out from Indonesia. Can they shut down Onic?
Tall task is going to be an understatement in this kind of challenge for Fireflux. But if anything, Fireflux has always turned heads. Ever since M4, everybody's now looking at them. And now their opponent's Onic.
Yeah, Sands stepping up to the scene. Ready to take the shot. Landed Don Keyboy right beside him in the roam position. Boots on the Lapu-Lapu. Slam dunks. Right cam over there is the way he's been performing. Kyrie, king of the sky.
Kyrie!
Do anything. And CW kind of chillaxing, relaxing in the background. Albert taking his position in the gold lane for today's game. Onic out from Indonesia. The last.
Albert lagi ya yang main ya, guys ya?
Standing in Game of Futures.
Oh iya, Albert lagi ya. Aduh, gila, kasihan cewek. Cewek jadi cadangan mati ya, guys ya.
Manning the gold lane for now, going up against Sunshine, which there's a lot of criticism as
Kenapa,
well.
Steve? Masih banyak yang menghujat ya?
I'm picking my words lightly here, but yeah, I think I'd go with that. There's a lot of criticisms onto Albert as well, but I think that there's something that Onic as a team we're able to discover.
Tapi gue yakin sih
season that we've had right after
beberapa bulan ke depan atau nanti pas di MPL, gue yakin banget RRQ pasti bisa mateng sih, guys. Yakin banget gue
in January, which meant that they were able to swap players around. And this time, we know Albert has played so many roles already for Onic. Back in MPL Season 12, he went and played jungle. He played gold as well, and he also played mid lane, if I'm not mistaken. So he got through the gauntlet, and now Onic kind of felt like, okay, maybe Albert belongs in the gold lane. Maybe he can actually play in the gold lane. That's the thing, right? Everybody from Onic is very difficult to replace. I mean, how do you replace Kyrie, right? That guy is just, that guy's cracked. Then if you're going to be looking at the mid lane, how do you replace Sound? Sound's a genius. And even CW has his own merits in the game. It's difficult. In fact, when Albert went here to Onic, I'm just really, it's like, those memes where you're like, what's his name? The basketball player, young meme, where he's like, what was that kind of play? Where
Oh yeah, I've seen it with the question marks.
Nick Young, yeah. Like the question mark, like why do you do that? But well, it took a lot of time, but maybe they have figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. And, you know, I'm going to be paying close attention to Albert, especially with CW sitting on the back end. He's honestly one of those marksmen that aren't really replaceable. And to see him not performing definitely says a lot about Albert rising to the occasion. But speaking of the gold laners, I mean, it is going to be him up against Sunshine. Sunshine, we kind of mentioned the hero pool from the side of Fireflux Esports.
Oi, Liv, lo kagak tidur, Liv.
Oriented.
Steve, lo kagak kerja besok.
Kebanyakan
bahas sejarah sampai lupa timnya absen terus di Inter. Siapa tuh? Sans meriam. Iya. Pasti Sans kedinginan di Rusia dia, guys ya.
Onic, they're a little different, right? They're not afraid to take it a little bit to that higher level. Those three-dimensional drafting, pulling out that Herald.
Matilda MPL berapa harganya?
Can Sunshine keep up with Albert with the three-dimensional drafting inside of the gold lane?
Hey, I like it. This is the first time I'm hearing a three-dimensional drafting. Did you coin that? Whoever coined that, that's I love it. I love it because it really describes the way that Onic is drafting, particularly with the leadership of Coach Yeb. However, I gotta say,
Bikin lupa atau pura-pura lupa dah.
Adi, who actually
apanya yang pura-pura lupa, Cok? Lupa dah ngomong apa anjing?
So he's
kayaknya kalau itu 140 deh.
How Onic Esports think about the draft, three-dimensional drafting. I think that's the perfect visualization.
Di Rusia ada yang beli AC gak, Ken? Kayaknya kagak sih, karena di Rusia udah selalu dingin sih ya.
You know, it's funny.
Yakin itu Steven? Oh iya anjing, goblok, gue lupa, Cok. Lagian gak jelas tuh si Alin ini anjing. Ngapain sih pakai nama Steven? RNG kalah ya lah, nasib gue Sonic. Iya kalah nah.
And go above the meta and create their own. And that's what we see from the side of Onic.
Susah sih lawan Raja Terakhir ya, untuk sekelas tim baru soalnya.
Junglers that we've ever seen, the way he moves around the map.
Abisnya masih mabar, Ken. Ya kagak lah, mati gue aja kalau abisnya masih mabar anjing.
Irreplaceable with how well they kind of perform on the world stage. And today, we're going to witness greatness in the making from Onic, but also from the side of Turkey, Fireflux Esports. They are kind of rising to the occasion, right? I would say their story is a little bit better than Onic right now in Game of Futures 2024 because we normally see Onic do really well and go this high. As Fireflux Esports, a newer region to the scene, definitely a little bit more challenging to kind of take down some of these prominent regions, such as the Philippines, such as Indonesia. And speaking of both of these amazing teams, jumping into the draft now, and it looks like first priority pick will go to the side of Fireflux Esports. Onic will be second in the draft, and wasting no time, Fireflux takes out the Nolan, Onic takes out the Guinevere.
Apa itu yang nyawer?
Wow. Vixana being banned out earlier on from
trading, sorry ya.
Seen. This is actually a surprise. But of course they are prepared. They have prepared for this. I'm looking at the
Tapi jujur,
where they actually
ya, gue tetap kesel sama game pertama sih kalau gue. Karena seharusnya game pertama itu bisa jadi peluang buat RRQ unggul di awal gitu ya. Terus ada satu nyawa kalau kalah gitu loh. Kalah di game pertama itu menurut gua terkonyol sih anjing. Dengan Dirot dan Layla tai. Tadi ada Cicela Ken. Iya tadi dia udah bilang, dia tadi nonton.
You know, and it's interesting too, because the way this draft is going out, at least for the ban phase.
Game 1 tuh anggapannya RRQ tuh ngebuang gamenya, Cok. Ngebuang nyawanya, Cok. Ngebuang nyawanya sendiri anjing dengan Layla dan Dirot. Karena Dirotnya lah. Kalau Laylanya nggak usah dikomen lah. Karena Layla tuh memang kalau late game sejujurnya memang sakit banget. Cuman kalau Dirot itu, aduh, titit Layla.
For that to be able to walk. Now there are some picks.
Layla bagus guys, cuman kalau digunain buat lawan sekelas AP brand yang bisa ngegeng dan nabrak kapanpun aja, gue rasa
with that walking on the table though,
not good choice gitu loh.
Beautiful first pick.
Oh iya, sepertinya sudah saatnya kita melepas baju RRQ karena Sudah kalah ya guys ya.
That answers the
Kita.
because Onic,
Gila, badan gua bagus juga ya kalau di kamera ya, anjing.
Wants to go up close and personal, right? They want to go in and initiate Nana's
Padahal
stun.
lagi kurusan,
and obviously
tapi
Rosa has been phenomenal with the zero. Great job of Flux. Onic might still go for Ruby though, and usually what you pick up in this case is the Baksha. So maybe that is the choice for Onic, like Baksha plus Ruby, or Baksha plus Harith. Well, it's carry immediately from Onic. Wow.
That's a little surprising. Now, yeah, that is interesting because I guess, I mean, they're trying to take some of the marksmans away because like I said, they're more of a staple meta type team for Flux Esports. So I could possibly be seeing that. I am a little shocked on it though, this early. The Ruby maybe slotted in that roam position still can be the XP. Like we said, Boots, normally he's been favoring that Lapu, but with the Ruby in the mix, I think it's a safer option for him right now, kind of trying to read out the draft. Not too many heroes can really go toe-to-toe with the Ruby in the XP lane, able to kind of sustain even dive compositions that works well against. But Flux Esports, I mean, they pick up the Nana. That's some great early game damage. You mentioned it being a great denial to not allow Onic to pick that up. And I think they're off to a good start. Now, there are still some options on the table on what they can pick up.
Gila, nih crypto ini lagi seru kali ya guys ya. Gua sampai gak bisa berhenti trading gua anjing.
They take away the Minotaur as well. You know for sure that it's great against the Claude. So it's, I mean, the Ruby can be played in the EXP lane as well. We know for sure that Flux really likes this Claude anyway, so they're gonna be picking it up. This is comfort pickups coming up from Flux Esports. Now, Onic, they might swing it and pick up the Grok as their last pick because Grok just works well against this Claude. Great staying power against Minotaur-based compositions, and at the same time, you have a way to apply vision to look for the Nana because Grok is very tanky in that regard. However, Onic will then secure the Lilia first. Making it so that their potential with the Ruby plus the Lilia.
Threat apa Ken biasa crypto.
Lilia plus the Ruby is
lagi ping-pong gua.
Be a problem for the Minotaur walking around the river.
Cara main kripto gimana ya? Tinggal beli lah guys, tapi riset dulu apa yang mau kalian beli
gitu. If it's not banned out, I think they're gonna go for their signature export pick. Definitely can work in their favor and something they're a little bit more comfortable on. I mean, it seems like they're kind of leaning into their comfortability with this draft, right? Like you said, a staple pick from Apex 47 on the Minotaur. One of those marksmen that we see time and time again with the Claude, especially with the carry not being available. That's probably Sunshine's next best answer. The export does get banned out though. Onic with the good read for the denial.
Oke, kita lihat hero dari Onic, Lilia. Lilia, Kari, dan juga Ruby ya guys ya.
Onic, we're looking for your alien heroes. Maybe Arlet. It's also
Kairinya belum pilih hero ya. Guys, bentar, gue quest dulu ya.
They also pick up Phovius. In fact, that's a surprise. But maybe in this particular game, maybe that's not gonna be the case. When they played up against Blacklist, it was Dairoth actually that they went in with. Maybe because Blacklist went in for the Baksha. So instead, it's the Fredrin ban coming out from Onic. Interesting choice. Yep.
There's another pickup there. The CC is still on the table to be picked up. I just realized that walked through the draft, and I think that would be a solid option from the side of Flux Esports. Definitely been one of those heroes that a lot of players have a hard time keeping up with and creating that opportunity to kind of split push on those lanes, especially with more of their signature pick being banned out. A really good read from Onic for that denial on that X-Borg. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that is what they were trying to kind of pick up there if it walked in. A great denial, a good read from the side of Onic, just showcasing their mastery in drafting, but the Fanny looks like they're trying to limit the King of the Skies.
Yeah, that's right. Onic, the three-dimensional draft that you're saying, gonna go for the Martis instead. This time, they will want to keep the flexibility on the Ruby, so we don't know yet if this Ruby is going EXP or Roam. For Flux now, gonna be looking for their XP laner as well as their jungler. When you're up against the Martis, there's always that Baksha factor, and I think it works really for the lineup of Onic. So maybe they'll just go that route.
Heish!
Then for their EXP lane, there's that Lapu-Lapu that No, it's not banned. So the Lapu-Lapu is decent versus the carry. You can one-shot.
RRQ kalau RRQ kalah minimal bawa pulang $70.000. Kalau juara 3 dapat $120.000. Oh emang segitu ya hadiahnya ya? $120.000 aja banyak cuk.
Martis against backshot, but the Lunox in the jungle is the choice here for Fireflux.
I mean, it didn't really work out that well. There goes the CC, but the Lunox in the jungle position. This is similar to game 1 when they went up against Blacklist, their opening debut in Game of Futures 2024. They ran this composition and went all the way to a 20-minute game. But they were not able to claim victory, and Blacklist was able to shut them down. Looks like they're going in for this again, a little bit more confident than the last time, possibly. I like the CC pickup. It's definitely going to have some strong presence rotating them around. And now we're on to our last pick for the side of Onic. There it goes. Arlot will be slotted in. I thought maybe we would see a Lapu-Lapu, something of that nature, which means this is going to possibly be the Arlot in the XP and Ruby.
Oke, sudah dimulai matchnya. Let's go.
It's still swappable, but I think that it's more likely that they pick up the
Baca duit aja.
So the benefit here for the Arlot is
gua rungkat trading 10 juta leverage karta kanan. Wah, gila sih. Gua nggak pernah main future guys kalau di crypto gua cuma main spot doang.
You have a big combo with the Arlot that you can always refer.
Banyak banget gua main crypto itu koin gue yang nyangkut dari tahun 2021. Sampai sekarang udah banyak banget yang udah untung dan balik modal ya.
These two heroes are heroes that can actually
bersabar menunggu selama 3 tahun dan akumulasi terus menerus.
And for the Martis, you have the decimate. So the game plan here for Onic is to confirm the kills.
Oke, Onic melawan Fireflux telah dimulai ya guys ya.
Kind of have a disadvantage on because they're a sustained kind of lineup. They have low HPs but high sustains. So Onic identified that and picked this composition up.
Yeah, some high-level drafting indeed from both sides.
Jadi nge-hold ya Ken, iya. Gue nge-hold gak tanggung-tanggung anjing, udah 3 tahunan cok.
All the way out from Turkey, making it into the semifinals, going up against the last standing team out from Indonesia, Onic, who will be able to claim victorious in this best of 3 for the semifinals.
Ken, kalau lu kayak kurusan, iya memang kurusan. Ini lagi berusaha untuk mengembalikan berat badan gue lagi sih. Cuman hari ini gue makannya dikit nih cok.
I believe that the carry has an easier time in the early stages, but late game.
Besok lah gue harus gempur makan banyak.
Up top, it's CC versus Arlot.
Ya Sans, kita lihat di sini langsung berhasil untuk memecahkan pasif dari seorang Nana ya guys ya. Terlihat Lilianya sangat mendominasi ya guys ya.
The Martis inside of that jungle, right? We know he's an early aggressive jungler and can definitely sniff out those low HP opponents. Fireflux Esports, you mentioned it as we were jumping into the draft. They're a team that kind of focuses on team-oriented clashes, and that's kind of how they prioritize their draft. Now, they did something interesting. They pulled out the Lunox in the jungle. Up against a team like Onic, we got to see how this kind of plays out, right? Can it kind of deal the damage they're looking for and take these neutral objectives? Or will we see Kyrie kind of bridge that gap in the early game with the Martis?
Well, they have to utilize this Martis in that regard. They have to ride the momentum, if you get my meaning. They have to start fast for Onic because late game, this burst composition from Onic or confirmed kills kind of composition might not be that good anymore because that means that the Claude is already very strong, a little bit tanky with Wind of Nature, and the Purify is even more usable in the latter portions of the game. And of course, Apex 47 with just a little bit of an opening can pop the Minoan's Fury.
Yeah, now you are seeing both teams fight it out over this turtle, trying to take the advantage. Kyrie with the retribution. Able to claim it for
with the retributions.
Tries to go in, find Alien, not able to close the distance, but they were able to take this first neutral objective.
Tapi jadi cewek sih kesel juga gak sih guys? Cuma jadi camat doang anjing yang harus jadi player utama. Capek lagi sampai ikut ke Rusia anjing jadi camat.
Looking really good when it comes to his form.
Yeah, definitely looking really strong so far. That will give him a massive XP boost for the side of Onic.
Oke, sementara masih 0-0 ya guys ya.
By 1200, and we know Onic is one of those teams, even with the littlest advantage, can go a mile. Right now, Fireflux Esports.
Cewek juga sakit kan? Oh, cewek sakit.
Yet, but let's not discredit them. They did take down one of the highest decorated teams inside of the Philippines.
Serius cewek sakit? Sakit apa guys?
Right before this yesterday, inside of the quarterfinals.
Gara-gara dingin juga ya?
Take down one of the top teams from
Oke,
Indonesia.
sepertinya akan langsung di-kill. Umat, ada pasif lagi anjing. Nananya ada pasif mulu. Kampret, ada pasif mulu guys.
Neither side has found a body so far.
Yep. With all due fairness,
Planning halving gimana, Ken? Kalau ngomongin halving, gue jujur tahun ini gue agak bingung sih guys. Karena pada nyatanya itu good news tuh memang selalu dibanting ya guys ya. Good news BTC tuh takutnya selalu dibanting. Tapi gue takutnya ini agak reverse tahun ini ya. Jadi malah halving malah beneran naik, takutnya begitu gitu loh. Tapi memang kayaknya di akhir tahun 2025 BTC harusnya 100k sih. Anjing lama-lama pengen bikin channel kripto gue anjing.
What Onic is trying to lean into, they're like, okay, they're going a little unorthodox with the drafting. If we can make them uncomfortable, we can kind of lean into that and make that work in our favor. But Fireflux Esports clapping back,
udah ngantuk ya nih ya, sama cok, ngantuk juga gue anjing.
The invasions from Onic in their jungle.
Terlalu pagi nih match-nya cok.
However, they're not able to.
Kita udah live streaming dari jam 7:30 anjing. Udah 6 jam 4 gue duduk doang di kursi tai.
From Onic.
Yeah, classic. But big play from Boom.
Salam hormat abangku, halo Unar Olis.
With the alley-oop will take down TNZ with the decimation. First blood on the board for Onic.
Oh man, that's great aggression from Onic. First, they went in for the purple buff or an attempt on
4 jam aja belum ada kan, gua ada live mabar dulu cok sebelumnya. Live mabar kita kan tadi 3 jam anjing.
Minoan Fury on Apex 47, and the early stages of the game, that ultimate is quite long when it comes to like it's a cooldown. So afterward, Onic had the free pass to go to the turtle. Then Kyrie didn't have to commit any retribution for that. So they had another round.
Duh, besok pokoknya gua harus nge-gym sama lari. Hari ini gua udah bolong olahraga nih, Cok.
And very natural kind of movements coming out from Onic. Knowing full well that Apex 47, every time he commits the Minoan Fury that does not net a kill for Flux Esports, they buy what? 1 or 2 minutes of gameplay.
Rusia sekarang jam berapa, Ken? Mundur 4 jam aja, guys. Udah jam 10 di Rusia ya.
But with Kyrie able to take her down, that's gonna put her in a little bit of a disadvantage rotating around the map. Definitely gonna have to be a little bit more careful.
Lari dari kenyataan, Ken, kagak. Lari gua tuh naik turun tangga.
Is gonna put Onic at a big advantage. Now leading by 3,000 gold. Then just being Procto needs to get out of there.
Wah, ini kayaknya match ngantuk sih anjing. Ini sih kayaknya pembantaian dari Onyx ini, Cok. Serius ini tim bisa ngalahin Blacklist, guys. Aneh banget anjing. Masa sih ini tim bisa ngalahin Blacklist? Wah, aneh. Kayaknya Onyx gak ada beban sedikit pun lawan mereka, tai. Kok bisa dia ngalahin Blacklist? Blacklist yang lagi tolol kali ya?
He planned that so well. He knew that eventually the Minotaur will go for the
Karena menit 7 aja beda networknya udah 4.000 anjing.
Kayak
lo prefer BTC atau altcoin?
Taking away farm from TNZ. And
BTC
as a
sih.
Lunox, you don't want to ever be in this kind of spot. It's difficult to play catch up when you're playing Lunox.
Tapi Porto gue paling gede di BNB. Karena sering dapat free BNB tuh enak gitu loh guys, save aset menurut gue. Soalnya bisa dapat free money gitu dari launchpad.
Almost able to claim that turret on the top side, putting a lot of pressure into the mid lane, and it will fall. Now they'll be able to invade the jungle of Fireflux Esport with ease. As you are going to see on the bottom side, another turret will fall into Onyx's hands. Looks like Alien was not able to fend it off.
Makan Ken! Gue udah gak boleh makan. Di jam segini, Cok.
Recipe made for disaster for Fireflux Esport. The Lunox jungle just not picking up the pace so far.
Yeah. Again, they forced the Minoan Fury. That's 60 seconds at level 1, where you don't have a big ultimate. Then Kyrie with a massive level advantage over TNZ. There's really no chance at all for Flux Esports to defend these invades. Kyrie's level 12 at this point.
Astaga, guys.
Able to get that kill. I didn't even. Where did Apex 47 go? It was so quick. I blinked and he disappeared. Kyrie over here pulling out magic tricks. Albert able to claim the tier 2 turret on the top side. Flux Esports now stripped down to their tier 2 turrets. 8 minutes in.
What was that play from Onic? Was literally like
Mes
a fraction of
Oppo
a
ini
second.
cocok pembantaian kali ya guys ya. Onic cuman kayak lagi main klasik anjing.
Fraction of a second from the combo of Onic. And it was just the one displacement tool coming up from Kyrie that the Mortal Coil was used and was able to snag Apex 47 in a bad spot. It allowed for the rest of Onic. I don't even remember who else is there. I only remember Kyrie and just
Apa gue tidur aja kali habis match ini ya. Ini ngantuk bener sih, Onic udah masih menang lah kalau game ini, Cok.
9 minutes.
He has double the amount of gold to Tinzy right now, too. Tinzy was at 3,000. He's sitting at 6,000 right now. 3 kills in and another objective into his hands.
Guys, berarti besok ada yang tanding gak sih? Apa RRQ berarti main besok lagi gak sih? Juara 3 ya?
One man army. Use the black shoes, Minoan Fury will drop down from Apex 47, but at what cost? His boots will take him down.
No exchange.
Alangkah gampangnya anjing.
Fortunately, that's a Minotaur.
Blacklist gak mainin Rene J kan? Padahal kemarin sama Rene J, Onic aja dibawa ke game 5 di M5.
On defense mode now for Flux Esports, so what they can do is just to wait for Onic to get in front of the
Kenapa Blacklist gak mainin Rene J?
Tapi
enggak lah, tanggung lah kita nonton sampai game kedua lah ya.
That is the only W that they can.
Apa sih function Lundoxnya anjas? Bahasa lu keren sih Izudin. Keren. Apa sih functionnya anjas?
And they have a composition to be able to kind of end this early if they kind of play it right? You see in Flux on a stand, not trying to allow this Lord to take this inhibitor. It will fall. Looks like Onic was not able to open up the base. They may have to put punches here. They don't have minions in every single lane to be able to contest, but they may still go for it. I mean, they're early aggressive for a reason, right? They picked this composition with Kyrie on the Martis to bridge that gap in the early game, and that is exactly what he has done so far, leading highest kills on the game, 3-0-0.
Oh my, I'm out of words. It's Onic just, like I said, systematically, clinically, going for the
anjing. Dikeluarin dong Minotaur ya.
Connecting on to Apex 47. Almost burst it down, Albert.
Kasih tahu Sans. Recall-it Sans.
Some region definitely rethinking that decision. Need to be a little bit more careful. I mean, he's easily bursted down. He's the beefiest one on the team. So he's definitely going to have to be careful. I mean, they don't have a strong frontline composition.
Flux ini Turki kan ya guys ya.
Contest, and right now Onic already leading the way, almost up by 10,000 gold.
Negara Bapak Erdogan.
Tough break for Flux Esports. They did secure their turret out to the bottom lane, but it seems like they can't get out of their base.
Ken, lu roll-nya apa? All roll apa satu roll, Ken? Gua lebih ke arah assassin sih buat main Lancelot, Link. Hayabusa, kayak gitu-gitu lah hero gua. Kalau main roll-roll yang lain gua agak ngantuk
so badly. Onic just shows us how to clinically and systematically win the game in a perfect manner.
Speaking of systematically, Sunshine, though, top side, we'll be able to clear some of those minions, trying to open up the opportunity, trying to find a trade somewhere on the map, and a good job finding his way to the top side to be able to get those minions there. I don't think you'll be able to clear it, though. You are going to go ahead and see Boots try and get there.
Ini Cici kayaknya di tim manapun kena bantai, anjing. Kayaknya Cici jelek ya, guys ya. Di tim manapun kena bantai, yo Cici.
Dominating in the early phase and getting to those objectives first.
Tatonya Ken gambar cicak. Agak nih tato gue ini gambar Rosario. Sama malaikat kecil. Malaikat kecil yang lagi berdoa gitu loh.
Albert find Alien. He's going to go ahead and get shut down, finding his second death of the game. Onic now leading, unanswered, 5 kills ahead, and leading by 10K with the Luminous Lord claimed in their favor.
Sans actually forced Apex 47.
Woi, anjing si Sans, Cok.
had to pop the Brilliance once again. Fortunately for all of the changes that we know for the
Kimi
Lunox
no
now,
sora
Brilliance
no
and
kasai,
Chaos
kimi
is
no kanai,
relatively quicker when it comes to the cooldowns. They have to
no
wait for 20
kito.
to 30 seconds. But that's still an ultimate that's down. It's TNC. Just can't find an opening to make this jungle Lunox even bearable at this point. Another Brilliance used. Sans is just destroying Flux Esports now.
And it looks like they may go in for a possible game ender. Look at the Luminous Lord in the mid lane. Lanes are being I mean, look at Keyboy, right? He's looking for that setup. A major I'm Infinite may be on the way. The placement is crucial. Luminous Lord.
Ayo Onic! Onic! Biar bisa tidur. Kasih tahu Kairi. Cepret. Wih gila Kairi. Dia memperhitungkan skill 2-nya yang buat imun dipakai waktu bantengnya getoken terakhir tai. Gila ya pro player ya. Perhitungannya tajam kali anjing. Dan kita lihat akan langsung di end oleh Onic begitu saja. Dan 1-0 untuk Onic Esport ya guys ya. Nice one. Itu Suns-nya cuma bercanda anjing. Seru kali dia berasa kayak main time zone gua rasa, Jok.
It all started with the way that they invaded. After the first turtle, them winning with this that we were talking about, the snowball potential, Kairi did not let go of the grip that they've had. After invading the purple buff, or at least attempting to for the invade, and forcing some rotations before the second turtle of the game, there wasn't anything that they can do anymore. Look at that initiation coming out from Boots at the 4-minute mark, where Kairi is able to take out TNZ and also take away the orange buff. And allowed Onic to have so much. And this is the very quick kill onto Apex 47. Like what, 1 or 2 seconds? The damage output. And you wouldn't think that the Minotaur would be down that quickly.
Lagunya Games of Future seru juga ya.
Goes for the Minotaur 3, but only lands on the Keyboy, in fact, because everybody from Onic just got away from the range and they just can't find anything at this point. Even Sunshine going in for the Blazing Duet does not deal the damage anymore from Onic. Mainly because Flux Esports aren't able to actually utilize their wombo combo. We never saw any
next bot, Cosmic beliat di mana Ken? Di Tangerang.
Brilliance plus order.
Di Tangerang.
You know, the Lunox bomb, the combo wherein you pop your darkness and your brilliance at the same time, so you have to really just destroy your opponents. We never saw that because there wasn't any opening that Onic gave to Flux Esports.
Arif RS. RFK gimana? KO Arif.
Exactly.
KO. Besok kayaknya perebutan juara 3 deh. Atau besok off day ya, gua nggak tahu juga sih. Nanti gue cek lagi lah jadwalnya besok ya guys ya. Sabun kocok. Apaan tuh sabun kocok?
Well-deserved MVP.
Apaan guys sabun kocok guys?
31% damage taken. I wonder what his total damage was. 6-1 and 1. The only death for Kairi was when they pushed the base. Just essentially 0. You know, you're not gonna count it because it's just like a kill out of like the game's ended anyways, right? So we are going to see his damage spread. That's going to be a lot for sure. And I think Sans also played this well. There was a time where Apex 47 tried to frontline against Sans. But because this is Apex 47 prioritizing the Athena shield as well as the dominant side, the combo wherein you pop your darkness
sabun
and your
kocok
at the same time. So you have to really just destroy your opponents.
Anjing.
That Onic gave to Flux.
Anjing, bisa-bisanya ada penonton namanya sabun kocok, babi.
The dominant size is actually not built to tank Sans. Surely there's Athena shield, but that's not going to be graded armor, right? Well, you understand why he went for the Athena shield, because he wants to be able to pop his ultimate. But when it comes to like positional battles where you want to get into position first before you go for your ultimate, you definitely need graded armor because you're going to suffer from all of the sustained grab damage that you'll get from the Lilia. So it's an interesting dynamic. Obviously, Athena shield on Minotaur up against the Lilia, that's pretty normal. That's literally the way to go. However, Sans played that well in a way that he timed his pokes and he was actually very aggressive.
Gua rasa Onic bakal juara sih guys di turnamen Rusia ini guys ya.
Right?
Entah kenapa, gue ngerasa Onic pasti juara sih. Onic dan segala anak-anaknya itu gak akan terima kalau mereka kalah 2 kali dari AP Brand, guys. Gak mungkin, Cok. Gue yakin banget Onic pasti bakal juara ini.
Yeah, and some great synergy from them to be able to open up the way in that game. I mean, there was
pembalasan dendam, Cok, ini anak-anak Onic nih ke AP Brand nih.
Right? Again, we were looking at Fire Esports being a reactionary team to them, just kind of playing into their hands every step of the way until they were trapped into the base with nothing left to do. Backs against the wall and Illuminous Lord walking down there to close it out. And
ntar gue cek jadwal nih.
This is literally
ada yang bilang jam 7, ntar gue cek jadwal dulu ya.
Opening for Game Ages 2024 when they went up against Blacklist. Blacklist took a little bit longer to get that victory, but again, the Lunox jungle just did not work in their favor. And I don't really see them trying it again. After they lost to Blacklist, they did switch it up though. So maybe this time around we'll see a little bit of a different drafting style from the side of Fireflux. Some adjustments way for game
cek jadwal
on the line, right?
Jadwalnya
here into the
Game of Future dari mana ya guys ya?
One of the highest decorated teams in Mobile Legends history, M-Series holders, you name it, shutting down Blacklist from the Philippines. Honestly, probably doing Onic a favor, shutting them down and making them go up against them. And getting to this point, now we got to see, was it a fluke? Was it them stepping to the occasion? I mean, everybody's asking these questions like, how is Turkey compared to the top regions in MLBB? And so far, with that game, it was a little bit
Thank you 20.000 sama nih pasti Onic menang. Kemarin aja dibantai RRQ 2-0.
Things go to a game number 3. They turn this around, but I definitely think it starts with something a little bit more with a frontline presence that doesn't lack
2 Maret jam 7. Oh iya, berarti hari ini RRQ tanding lagi jam 7 guys. Buat memperebutkan juara 3 ya.
From Flux Esports, very much.
Bentar. Dari tadi harusnya suaranya gue nyalain aja ya. Sorry.
But you feel very confident the way that they're playing it. However, the last 2 picks, that's where
suara sosial bassnya udah gue nyalain lagi ya guys ya.
They went in for CC, which is in a way fine because it's just a strong hero in general, but it doesn't really help them group up. It doesn't win the EXP lane matchup for them to be able to eventually take over the map. It doesn't supply split push or anything. It just is a strong hero 1v1 and then eventually in the team fights. Now that's where the Lunox comes in, where it's a very difficult situation now because it's very awkward. Surely if you snowball with the Lunox, if you get your jungle pattern like spread out, then you get the first turtle, then eventually go for the Ruby DD plays, 100% you can melt down even a Martis, even a Ruby will melt in your face. But that didn't work because Onic just knew how to invade the Lunox. Lunox makes sense, but it's super duper high risk, and the reward is like, it's not even high risk, high reward. It's like ultra high risk, mediocre reward. If you get my meaning. So I understand why they went for it, but they didn't have to go that way. There's Baksha that was still available. They themselves banned the Parrots, which they could have used as well, right? So there's the Akai. I thought the Akai would be a good pickup as well because that's your protection, right? The Martis does not have enough anti-crowd control for the continuous crowd control that you get from the heavy spin. Right? So, there's a lot of like easier options that Fireflux Esports could have gone for, but they went the different route, far too creative, and they struggled because of that.
Yeah, I mean,
oi, ala kalamanya
cocok. On the Philippines, we're gonna try it on Indonesia. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of when we saw the $1 Million Layla walk in again from RQ Hoshi trying to get a steal as well against AP Bryn. Some of these creative picks, but sometimes it's not the best option on the table, and you don't want to put yourself at a deficit because if you can't pull it off, it's harder to come back when you lose the first objectives in the game, to where it's almost not even worth picking it up. As other junglers, when you fall on a neutral objective, they have an easier time of climbing back up that hill and equalizing the economy, but you don't really see that when the Lunox is in that position. You kind of see the Lunox, okay, I didn't get the first neutral objectives. Now I got to play safe. Now I just got to wait. Hopefully my roamer gets a good set, because if not, I'm not going to find my way into any of these turtles.
Speednya lemah. Kagak lah, jago itu banana, Cok.
Inside of that jungle, be able to do
Kalah
that.
hero aja dia tadi, terakhir tuh.
Around being able to do this, a Fredrin.
Cici lawan Xbox itu gak bakal bisa.
That's one of the keys that they have to watch out for, and possibly draft in as they lean forward into game number 2 up against Onic. Now, Onic, though, keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, I didn't see anything wrong with that. That was a one-sided
10.000 dari Om Burhan. Pesan, friend ud keluar dari up brand jelasin Ken kenapa RR gak pernah menang internasional.
Wah, nggak tahu Om Burhan. Nggak tahu. Tapi kalau tadi sih RRQ ngebuang game 1 sih, menurut gua sayang banget itu aja. Sangat sayang banget sih RRQ ngebuang game 1 menurut gua.
For the Philippines, and looking like Indonesia is trying to get that last remaining position to go head-to-head against them. Fireflux Esports, though, hey, they're out of Turkey. They've been doing a great job. They just got to tighten up their draft and find a way to be a bully in the early phase against Onic.
Yeah, maybe at the phase of elimination against Onic, maybe you just go back to your typical standard plays, your most comfortable play style. There's really nothing wrong with that. You have a plethora of heroes that you can play for TNZ, right? Like you said, Akai could have been there, the choice. And then if you look at Alien, surely this is not the only hero that Alien can play. He plays a mean Lapu-Lapu. I thought Lapu-Lapu is a great hero against the carry. Some people would disagree though, because of the
Some people want it all.
Because you go quote-unquote tank carry now, apparently. Going in for the
wanna give it all.
More tanky options in your emblems, and it's actually tanky, but at the same time, you're still a Lapu-Lapu. You can still apply the threat.
Find out you, baby.
You can only tank the damage. And the thing is, Onic, you saw in that game, when Alien pops the Vengeance, they just drop their weapons and get out. Like, they disarm themselves,
but
get out,
everything means nothing.
What I'm trying to say here is, Vengeance CC is not going to work as easily as that against a team like Onic. Because Onic will
Gua juga udah ngantuk, guys, anjing.
Not fight the CC when the Vengeance is up.
Yeah, definitely playing patient. I mean, and like you kind of mentioned inside of the first game, when the Minotaur would use the Minoan Fury, they were just baiting it out. They were just waiting for it, and then you have like 60 seconds to have a little bit of that window where they're pretty much vulnerable for that entire time, because there's not that much crowd control to stop the early aggressive push from the side of Onic from invading. And I mean, that's what Kyrie kind of leaned into. He was definitely I would even say
anjing, udah kayak lagi nonton Liga Champions,
and making it even worse. With the R-Lot
lama bener, kampret
the CC that they had. I mean, you have Keyboy.
Cibi, cubu,
The R-Lot is a recipe for disaster.
Tuh, biar kalian seger ya, guys, ya.
Forward into that so much, putting Fireflux at a little bit of that deficit. So, in the next game, I do agree with you. I mean, I think if they run the CC, they need something that can be a little bit more of a bully in the jungle. Like, I feel like the Minotaur would have been okay if they would have had something else that was strong in the jungle, that was a frontline hero that's not easily invadable, and also able to bounce back when they're down in the neutral objectives. Maybe a little bit more sustainability to last in these fights. Because, I mean, we just saw TNZ definitely way too squishy. And when you have a Martis ahead like that, and you have a early game at Mage,
but I don't
question when this all
wanna
started,
give it all, feeling you, baby,
against one of the most credited mages of all time.
Find out you, baby.
So far, we haven't really been able to see Rosa get online. I mean, multiple times, even in the early phase. I think within the first 60 seconds of that game, we saw Melina gift Nana's passive procced very, very early in the engagements, and Rosa having to run all the way to the tier 2 turret. And not really being able to be there for those fights. And I think it really just boiled down to Apex 47 having to kind of protect TNZ majority of the time and trying to get a perfect Minoan Fury knockup, which didn't really work in Rosa's favor on the rotations. And speaking of rotations, rotating on over to game number 2.
Sudah dimulai lagi.
And for Fireflux Esports, if they're not careful, Onic leading the way.
Ya, guys. Satu match lagi. Gue juga udah ngantuk banget. Ayolah Onic, menangkan ya Onic ya. Jangan lama-lama Onic.
Matches and some of the some of the matches before, like during the qualifiers that for the Turkish qualifiers as well. Guinevere is going to be the banner for Flux Esports. I believe that they also banned out Vexana in the previous game, which is kind of off-putting. At the same time, it didn't matter anyways because Onic just picked up Lilia, right? And I think at this point, Sans is a player that you don't really want to target ban in the first phase because it's gonna be playing almost anything anyways, right? So it's sometimes it's not worth it, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. The Navari banned out too. I think the Mathilda's definitely going to be the option next for Flux Esports. Not something I would be willing to put into the hands of Onic. So that should be their next ban on the table. Now, there are still some other heavy hitters. We've seen the Joy constantly being banned out. Could be an answer. Flux is going to go ahead and ban out the Ruby, though. I respect it. I mean, the Ruby's, like we said, is such a strong pick. One of the most picked heroes so far in Game of Futures 2024. Right. Be able to flex it into the roam position, into the XP lane. That double threat that it can provide is not really worth letting it walk in the draft. Mathilda's still on the table, though. That should be the last ban for the side of Flux and Onic with the response. Interesting the way they're banning this out so far. It's definitely calculated specifically toward Flux as they ban out the Hilda.
The reason why they ban Hilda is because they know they banned it like third, right? So they know that Flux Esports will have to choose between Nolan and Joy because they're both open. And if you're looking at Onic Esports, they know that the only reason why Kyrie on an assassin like a Joy or a Nolan will struggle in their laning stage or the early stages of the game is when there's a Hilda that goes for an inhibit. So that's an interesting matter. And I think that right now you can automatically assume that this first pick from Onic is either Nolan or Joy. Whatever it is open. Matilda, the ban from Flux. If you're Onic, you're gonna favor Nolan for sure. That's the easiest option, like the surefire way to win games now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think the Nolan would be a very strong pickup from them. You know what? Oh no, Guinevere's out. So yeah, I would say the Nolan's safe. Yeah. They could definitely take that and deal some massive damage. There it goes right there. Credits to Wolf on that amazing prediction. Flux, though, left with the response here. They let the Nolan walk, and where do they go from here, right? I mean, the Arlot is still on the table if they do want to pick up something like that. Actually, you know what? No, they could run something like the Barats and run some sustainability on top of that. It did walk through this draft. We know Flux Esports likes to pick those core marksmen that we typically see, that Claude, that carry. We saw Onyx steal the carry away from them. They responded back with the Claude. So definitely maybe picking up their marksman here because they have priority on whichever one they want. Should be a focus. And then I would say maybe even the Barats would be a little safe. Okay, there goes the Angela. So there should be a Barats pick
Gila ini.
Because
gak salah Flux ini.
I mean,
melepaskan Nolan ke Onic, guys. Gak salah, Cok.
Entirely. Oh,
malah ngepick Teris lah kontol. Buat apa, anjing?
But that's not really something that I would have expected. With some of the other prioritized targets on the board.
Masih meta ya Teris lah, guys.
I think that because they already know that the Nolan was
gila, belum kenal Kyrie, Cok. Ini si Fireflux ini, guys.
Immediately pick up their
match berapa, Bang? Ini match kedua ini. Habis ini juga Onic udah menang.
There's no reason to pick that up. So they pick up Terisla, but that means that Onic might just go back to the.
Dan ini Kyrie udah pasti pesta-pesta sih anjing.
For Onic, but there are teams that like to play Claude up against Angela, but up against a Terisla that might not be the choice. And knowing that they have Nolan, they typically pair this up with Brody, Harith, heroes that are dependable or independent. I mean, independent in the side lane. So that's Harith and that's Arlot as well from Onic. Yeah, really easy decision here from Onic. So Flux, they're left with the Joy.
Ooh, okay. Onic getting creative though. That Harith pickup could be a possible problem. I mean, with the Joy walking on the table, normally we see it kind of banned super early. It may need a little bit of suppression or some single target CC to kind of keep him in his tracks. And we don't see a roamer yet for the side of Onic, but they don't have that much CC really in their favor. I mean, they got a little bit of slow from the Hera. They've got the final slash.
And di bawah 10 menit bisa jadi. Bisa jadi, Jo.
Maybe
Ini kayaknya bakal game 10 menit atau 11 menit sih kayaknya, guys. Ditambah lagi ngelihat hero dari Onic sih, anjing ini sih. Pesta gak sih Onic ini, guys?
On the Terizla to kind of open up these engagements, right? I mean, I guess he has a little bit of a saving grace from Apex 47 to keep him alive when he drops in with those penalty zones, but that's really what they're going to be banking on. Either finding a way for Joy to get to the back line and pop that electrifying beats and pretty much take down either Sans or Albert. But for TNG or for the Terizla pickup, I feel like that's just going to be very aggressive. You're going to really have to bank on him getting into the front line, dropping a penalty zone, and then also having Apex 47 attached to him to be able to keep him alive and open up these games. But they are going against a Harith, who does kind of love the up close and personal fight, which may be a little bit of a challenge.
Ngopi kek, gua nggak ngopi.
Purposely.
Lu pada ini memang semuanya begadang buat nonton Onic ya guys ya.
10.000 dari Samuan, pesan, bang matanya sudah berlipat-berlipat itu.
Iya Samuan. Cuma gue udah janji mau di-stream Onic juga, jadi yaudahlah tanggung Dai. Ntar match Onic lawan AP Brand sih, tapi itu pasti bakal seru banget sih anjing. Ajang pembalasan dendam itu ya.
And this Arlet, but like I said, it's a low-hanging fruit that you don't want to take because it might be poison. Because Onyx really prepared for that. Yeah. So what is the pick? They're looking for a marksman here for Fireflux. I'm thinking Brody for Fireflux because
10.000 dari Brotoni, pesan, Ken bilangin ke Ojan jangan ngomong sama lukisan terus.
Their side lane has to.
Weh, jangan bahas-bahasnya lukisan lah, ngeri itu cocok.
Brody carry heroes that get activated much earlier for them to. There you go, the carry. What if Onic goes back to?
Oh lamanya, cibi, coba kau cepat.
Aurora Vexana, the heroes which matches up with the tempo of the Arlet, and then go for a sustain hero for boots, because now you have the Nolan. Usually, if you go this route, you need sustain. So I'm thinking actually Uranus for Onic. Although it's no longer the meta hero, but Onic is a team that actually picks that up, and it has good synergy with both Harith as well as Nolan, where you're not.
Gak usah tulisin liriknya juga, Liv
anjing. Anyways. So that's their
capek gua sama tuh lagu anjing.
And hey, there it goes. They going for the Phobias themselves. Hey, we're not going to bait it out. We're just going to pick it and dominate. I mean, there's a lot of dashes on their side. I feel like the Joy's a little fast though to be able to kind of get away from the demonic force. We'll have to see how that kind of plays into it.
Oh, it's
sustainability knocked up on the board as well. There goes the Ferramis to keep them alive. And this is interesting, right? I mean, you've got a bully in the jungle with the Barats being able to kind of sustain himself in these engagements. As long as he can get to his stacks, you are going to be looking at Boots running this Nolan in the XP lane. And then you're going to be looking at the Arlot being that roam position that we were looking for. Gold lane over there from Albert on the Harith, and then the mid lane with the
10.000 dari Samuan, pesan, Ken biliar kau di Palembang Apodio namonya.
Cosmic Billiard.
Have that much range.
Cosmic Billiard Samuan. Dicari aja di Google Maps sudah ada kok, oke?
One more
di Taksam Ilir Timur.
They need to even out the series. If they lose here, it'll be a 2-0 sweep, and we'll be seeing Onic be able to move on forward into the grand finals to go up against AP Bryn. Can they turn this around?
It's difficult, but they did pick up this X-Borg, which, with all sense of the game, like the actual matchup against the 5 heroes that you can see from Onic, surely it makes sense. But it forces you to go for Terizla Rome, which, by the way, has been trending recently. Not 100%. I don't agree 100% with that kind of mindset with the Terizla Rome, because it's too slow for my own taste. But hey, this is it's not. It's a It's a mid lane Terizla.
Oke, kita lihat.
My goodness. Okay, so I've seen a lot of things so far in Game of Futures. We saw
ngentit ini Fire Flux. Terisla-nya jadi mid laner, anjing. Timopo ini tai, kok bisa ngalahin Blacklist ya?
His hero pool, but you know, I'm
apa anjing Terisla mid lane, anjing.
We mentioned the game number 1.
Gua jadi merasa rugi gitu, Cok, begadang buat nonton match ini, Cok. Asu.
Lunox jungle, and now still gonna go something a little bit not traditional, unorthodox. Pick up the Terizla in the mid lane position.
Nah, kalau ini
perform well on it because Onic is one of those.
Ini Onic pick Barat buat apa ya? Barat XP ya? Masa Barat XP buat lawan Xbox anjing?
Unbelievable that.
Buat apa ya guys ya? Barat ya.
But with all due fairness, it has a little merit to it because
mungkin gue tahu. Mungkin tadi mikirnya Terisla-nya di XP lane kali ya. Makanya pilih Barat, tapi ternyata lawannya Xbox. Begitu kali ya.
Typical XP laner, or do you go damage at least because you're a mid laner? Because guess what? If in the early stages, you 100% need a lot more damage.
Besok RRQ bakal lawan. Besok RRQ ini bakal lawan Fire Flux ya guys ya.
Rotations, but it's not as reliable as.
Terus RRQ kalah lawan Fire Flux, wah anjing, gue banting keyboard kontol.
You recover your damage problems in the early stages of the game.
Right, they're going to be relying on Apex 47 for a little of that magic damage. You know, it is Barat in the XP lane, though. Boots is going to pick that up. Kyrie is going to be running the Nolan to be able to deal that quick burst damage. Now, the Barat's in the XP lane up against the Xborg. That's something interesting to see, right? I mean, Xborg definitely has that true damage, can kind of fight from afar. May be able to keep the Rats at bay, but he's doing a really good job of maintaining his stacks. The question is, who will be able to win the early phase? The last game, we saw Onic take total control.
Percuma lu pada komen juga bikin bukan di sini anjing live-nya, jadi dia kagak bisa lihat ngomong apa Rafli.
I wanna say yes.
Lihat-lihat komen kau macam orang tolol juga, cocok.
The easy answer is no. This might even be a liability. Now Alien has to get out. No control now for the turtle for Fireflux Esports.
Yeah, no.
Cibi, cabat,
waiting for an opportunity to rush in with the final slash.
10.000 dari fans Bacon garis keras. Pesan, infokan rumahnya Flexiken pengen gua bakar.
Aduh, rumahnya ada di Filipina, bro. Gua juga nggak tahu di mana ya. Kita lihat di sini.
Will claim this turtle for Fireflux Esports and also draw a kill. Shuts down Kyrie, but now
mendapatkan 1 kill anjing dan mendapatkan turtle Taicho. Anjing, Fireflux
and take a kill to even out the
Wih,
scoreboard.
jadi agak melek nih gue nih.
Really got baited into
boleh juga memberikan perlawanan mereka,
Cok. A lot of sense. But then again, that Xborg is already very low. That actually forced Kyrie to commit some of his energy as well as some of his spells before the turtle fight to get into position to take out Alien. So he wasn't really in the best spot to start that turtle. And that also meant that he lost some HP, right? Because he, Alien...
Satu sama biar bikin begadang. Aduh, janganlah anjing.
As well as Apex 47
ini Boots kalah pula di lane lawan Xbox, anjing lah. Ayolah, jangan satu sama lah, player yang bener aja. Kalau lawan Terisla mid kalah itu udah ada-ada aja, anjing.
Then the bonus is they got the turtle. So this is such a massive recovery from Fireflux Esports.
Yeah, and they gotta really watch out for TN, right? We talked about needing some sort of single target CC to stop him from getting to the back line. And he has a little bit of that momentum boost, knowing Apex 47 has the heart guard when things get a little tricky. And hey, he was able to take down Kyrie. So it looks like so far their plans are working in their favor. Speaking of TNZ, there goes again the dynamic duo combo. Giving
yang bener aja ini, Cok. Wah, Albert dengan Haritnya ya guys ya.
2-1. Onic leading kills bottom side though.
Wih, nice banget, Boots. Oke, matikan dia, Boots. Waduh. Wah, bisa jadi Boots yang mati gak sini? Anjing, gila, Boots. Emang King of XP lane, tai.
was able to win with
Xbox
the
aja
flicker.
bisa kalah lawan Barat
Didn't really,
Kentot.
expect that to
Jago
happen,
banget,
but now
Cok.
TNC is gonna be finishing up the kill, but
Kelas,
there'll be a lot
Cok.
of trades here.
Barat bisa nge-kill Xbox sih, menurut gue itu hal yang luar biasa anjing.
To kind of keep him at bay, to be able to burst him down. He will not have that for this turtle, but like we said again, Onic, one of those teams that kind of focus on getting those kills nice and early. It's okay. We know they're not going to go for this turtle anyway. We might as well get the slightest advantage we can. And there you have it, now leading the way 4-2. 1,000 gold lead, and the third kill so far from Kyrie. I mean, he was opening up the game in match number 1 over there with that Martis, and now it's looking like it's coming to fruition again with the Nolan pick.
Yeah, and you can see that they're not making the beeline towards the turtle yet because it kind of felt like TNZ knows that he has a little bit of level advantage, so he can go for the purple first and then get the level 10. But Kyrie, that is a crucial Lito Wanderer, by the way, because that's levels that it's EXP that you take away from Kyrie. So TNZ actually get great heads-up play in that regard.
Yeah, definitely still putting on pressure, still trying to find a way to keep their momentum rolling. Even though Onic has the slightest advantage, can't count him out just yet. Rosa pulled in, down to about 50% HP. Rotating around with this untraditional pickup on this Terizla, but still trying to provide that opportunity with the penalty zones. Turtle spawned in though. There it goes. Heart Guard activated onto TNZ. Use the electrifying beats. Triple knockup. Rosa with the set alien with the punish.
Wah, Albert ya. Albert is cooking ya guys ya. Anjing gila. Gila Albertnya. Albert memasak ya guys ya.
Oh, great
Aritnya nggak tersentuh ya.
Better recovery coming out from Onic. This time they have activated Albert. And this is a 5v4 scenario where Flux Esports got surprised.
Gila si Albert padahal sekarat ya guys ya, tapi nggak ada yang bisa nge-burst dia, Cok. Akhirnya dibalikin dia yang ngebantai anjing.
However, Alien still managed to land a good ultimate with the flicker. Without the flicker, I mean.
Oke, kita lihat angin game ini sudah kembali lagi ke arah Onic ya guys ya.
Clash. It allowed Onic to have a massive damage gap. However, Fireflux, Sunshine was able to push top lane. That's a tier 2 turret that he was able to take away when the fight happened. So I think that, honestly, after all the things that happened, Fireflux Esports might have had the better trade. Even when they're not leading when it comes to the gold right now, I think that specific trade, you are very happy if you're Fireflux Esports.
Yeah, definitely credits to Sunshine over there. Some good rotations to be able to open up an opportunity for Fireflux Esports, keeping them in this game up against Onic. I mean, Fireflux did a good start, though. They were able to take that turtle, the first turtle. The second one got lost to Onic, so at least both sides were able to pull a turtle off so far. In terms of map control, though, I mean, yeah, you're looking at Fireflux Esports having the slightest advantage. It's definitely a battle over...
Kita berapa penonton, guys?
You're already seeing Onic realizing
berapa penonton, guys?
And they are going to go ahead and shift on over to that. Now, everything is on the line for Fireflux Esports right now, right? I mean, if they lose this game, they're done. They're knocked out of Game of Futures 2024, packing their bags and going home. Onic, they have insurance. They know if we lose this, hey, we're going through
14K.
baby, so no need to worry. But Fireflux Esports, a lot of pressure on their side, and you can definitely tell they're giving it their all and playing a little bit more.
Kyrie-nya ketangkep, Cok.
Kyrie.
Boleh Terislanya, guys. Anjing ini rata, Cok. Siapa sih yang rata ini anjing? Albertnya HP-nya full sih. 1-1 ya guys ya. Buset, ketat juga nih. Albert berapa detik tuh ultinya? Buset, Albert sih. Ini sih namanya ngebantai-bantai sendirian ini ya. Wah, sayang banget gak ada skill 2 dia, Cok. Triple kill. Kalau dia tadi ada skill 2 kayaknya maniak gitu dia, guys.
That is a 3-for-2 trade, but Onic leading the way still 11-7, and now pulling the aggro for this Lord.
Oh my god, Onic, what a good exchange for both teams, in fact. Like, it's a showcase of skills. TNC overheating and trying to punish Keyboy, but Keyboy, good communication between Keyboy as well as Albert. Keyboy did not move, so that TNC will also be pinned into that spot. And he kind of survived for a little bit. That is Arlet anyways, with a lot of spell vamps. So that's why he had a little bit of staying power. It allowed Albert to close in the gap and eventually get a triple. He eventually died because of that, but because TNZ died after Kyrie was already long overdue when it comes to respawn, that allowed Onic to have a better trade-off after the kills, right? Because Kyrie has now respawned, he can burst the Lord so easily, as you've seen, and because TNZ died a few seconds when Kyrie is already dead, he wasn't able to reach the Lord fight. So that's gonna be great for Onic, forcing the hard guard again against Firefox Esports.
Yeah, and a good play too, right? I mean, they noticed a little bit of that focus from Apex 47 onto TNZ, forces out the hard guard, opens up the opportunity to take that turret on the top side, and the turret for the mid lane defense though. Rosa.
Wah, udah mulai nggak kompak tuh Fireflux ya. Teris lainnya open sendirian waktu nggak ada temennya ya guys ya, buat apa cok?
Game highest kills in the game so far for Onic.
Udah mulai berantakan ini Fireflux ini.
Even more in their favor. Leading by one turret.
Tapi Fireflux ini dibilang cupu juga kagak sih ya. Di game pertama sih iya sih kelihatan mabuk, tapi di game kedua ini lumayan keras mereka guys.
They're not losing some of their members, but they are trailing behind when it comes to the goal. TNZ wants to fight this.
Looks like they want to take the fight, but can they pull it off? Last Sanity going down. Alien does not have the Faraga arm and needs to get out of there. Chunked very low. Onic putting on some pressure up against Fireflux Esports now, taking control of this game. Fireflux having to kind of be reactive, similar to the first game we've seen. I wouldn't say as much of a one-sided story, but still, you can tell Onic is controlling the tempo.
Yeah, great plays coming up from Fireflux. So far, I mean, from Onic, but TNZ, I think that there's a lot of, there should be a lot of credit that could be given to this guy, 4-2-2. At this point, like playing the Joy in a very aggressive manner, even when they're trailing behind. He knows the limits of the hero, that in a way, especially because they have the Angela, but more so because of how much he's able to be aggressive. The thing for Onic is that they know how to deal with this, how to handle this kind. I want to say poke coming out from the Joy, which is not actually a poke because it's an assassin, and it doesn't like visually makes a lot of sense to say that is poke, but in a way that is what TNZ is doing. Like he's looking for an opening at least.
Ya ini mendingan langsung Lord aja Onic, come on.
Maybe he finds one kill.
Langsung Lord aja gak sih?
Attracts Onyx's attention.
Gua pikir Kyrie di sini bakal ngebantai-bantai guys. Ternyata dia malah susah buat dapetin kill ya guys. Anjing Joy-nya cok. Gila, Joy-nya spektakuler juga, kampret. Gila, ngeri gitu guys Joy-nya guys. Sampai recall cok Kyrie-nya guys. Itu power dari Joy sama Angel lah tuh kayak gitu guys.
Boots in a good position. I mean, he's running this Barats, right? He's a bully. He has all his stacks. He's able to maintain them off of this Lord and also in the mid lane. But now you are seeing Fireflux Esports trying to go in, trying to actually take this fight in the Lord pit.
Interesting. Fireflux Esports went for that. They don't have the hard guard. They have a healthy minion wave from top to bottom, so maybe that's why.
Siapa yang dapat nih? Anjing Joy-nya yang dapat tuh.
Confidence. There you have it. TNZ able to pull it off, gets a kill, takes out Kyrie and claims the Lord for Fireflux Esports. Now they just need to get out of there. Rosa with the penalty zone on the way out. Nobody will fall for the side of Fireflux Esports.
10.000 dari Legend VVIP. Pesan, order cheat VVIP di Telegram LEGEND VVIP. 100 anti BANNEDGEYS. Pro 1 bulan hanya 50 RB.
But at the same time, the setup was there. If you're going to be looking at the map, Fireflux's minion wave management was actually on point. Top was pushing heavily, bottom was pushing heavily, so Fireflux had a lot more opening actually to take that Lord, and indeed they were able to do so. TNZ just right amount of confidence and right amount of aggression to actually even up
Waduh, Albertnya mati. Anjing, untung aja, Cok.
He's gonna rush in. Hardcore activated, keeping Sunshine alive.
Wah, kok jadi kalah, anjing?
Fireflux Esports.
Aduh, yang bener aja lah, Cok. Masa satu-satu ngentot yang bener aja, anjing.
Safety. The pendulum
Woi,
has
yang bener
swung in their
aja
favor,
lah,
right?
ay,
All the skills are
peler lah,
swung.
tai.
Like you said, give some credit over the TNZ on the way he's been kind of rotating around.
Satu-satu biar seru, Pepe kau itu satu-satu biar seru, Jok.
From getting into these neutral objectives, he's really leaning on not having to worry about that
Eh,
single target.
tolonglah,
Apex
aduh Onic,
47
gua
with
ngantuk
the hard guards to keep him
ngentot.
alive, and it's getting the job
Masa
done.
lu lawan
Almost
Fire
every
Plug
single time
kesusahan
it comes to
si
contest these neutral
Onic.
engagements, and it's something
Lu ini lagi
that Onyx is gonna have to watch
jago-jagonya,
out for. The later this
cocok.
game goes, the stronger these wards are. If Fireflux can continue to get these steals, Onic will be forced to the defense and try and hold him off from evening out the series.
Oh, look at Joy. This is the timing where Joy is much stronger than the Nolan. So in the early stages, Nolan is faster compared to the Joy. Nolan is actually more bursty, I guess.
Halo Bangke, semoga bikin sehat selalu. Jangan lupa untuk konten puasa pertamanya ya. Terima kasih, Man. Semoga kalian semua di Malaysia juga sehat selalu semuanya ya.
That Joy is gonna hurt, right? So it definitely, when it comes to 1v1, Kyrie will not survive that. There's no, you don't want to go Winter Truncheon if you're the Nolan. Not even the Immortality, right? So you want to go all out damage. There's no way for you to stop the Angela Joy combo. So Fireflux Esports are really showcasing how good their composition is. However, Onyx still is winning when it comes to
Chippy.
oh my God.
Kyrie finding Apex 47, Netherrealm being activated.
Wah, Joy-nya mati. Menang, Onyx guys. Joy-nya mati guys.
High value target in there. Finish Sunshine trying to
nice.
still in the deal with the fracture.
Yes, tidur gua ngentot.
God.
The mid lane to Rizla left to fight the full 5-man team. What time is it? Wolf? Oh,
Nice, Onic.
As they are pushing through the mid lane, Kyrie, King of the Sky.
Ada minion nggak sih? Oh, ada kan ya? Anjing, gue pikir gak ada minion. Nice.
10.123 dari Legend VVIP. Pesan, cheat ML 100 anti BANNED hubungi di Telegram LEGEND VVIP.
Oke, sekarang kita akan lanjut live streaming mabar ya guys ya. Ya kagak lah anjing. Udah guys, thank you banget buat semua yang nonton. Sampai berjumpa lagi di live streaming besok ya guys ya. Thank you semua yang nonton. I love you everybody. Bye.